Rosemar, Allison, Delvin, Brian, Raymond, and Albert. Just want to say good evening to you and Che before, and also to the family of my Mr. Brother was my next door neighbor. So I raised up with his children. I raised up with him. Very nice family. I grew up in the yard. He had a mango tree, two mango trees in his yard. So across the street from me. So I just want to reach out to his family. And I also got buried today was Mr. Alexander St. Louis, who was my under 19 cricket captain. I think I hold a record. It's kind of 180 something not out at a botanical garden. I think it was against St. Vincent in 1990 when they played youth cricket. I don't know if somebody broke that record, but he had that record standing for a while. So I just want to reach out to his family and friends in Cochrane, especially. Good evening to you and to the family of the Dublins. They lose the parent died. The mother died. Zoc, that is Mr. Desmond, Dublin, Damian, Howard, Fat Boy, Marcia, and all the others. Mrs. Prince, sympathies to you. You're burying your mother on the weekend on Saturday, I think. There's one to also the mother of Theo, Ms. Gilbert, and the others of Penville. I think they're burying their mom as well on Saturday. Just want to extend sympathies to you as well. And also my good friend from Wesley who passed away, Tiki Tak. Bonnie does want to reach out to his family, the people of Corleo and Wesley. I just want to reach out to him. And also we have Hidden Isaac of Bernard Hidden Isaac, better known as Dollar of La Roche. Delis, who passed away as well, just want to reach out to his family. So several people have passed on, and we just want to reach out to them and on behalf of the United Workers' Party, and those of you who have loved ones at home and abroad, who have loved ones who have passed on. We have a good friend who's not doing too well, Mr. Roger Bruni. Just want to reach out and touch his family. And if you're out there, the prayer warriors, you can say pray for Roger on our behalf and on behalf of his family in Dominica and overseas. Just want to touch our good friend Roger Bruni. So that's good evening to each and every one of you once again. Because of copyright infringement, I have to cut back on playing some of the songs, so we don't want our Facebook Live to cut off. So we're going to be live on Facebook as well. We are live on Facebook already. Just want to welcome our Facebook viewers. I just have to make sure on which one of the Q95 channels we are on, and I will share it with you as well. So just want to welcome you. But this evening, tonight, yes, we have with us in studios two gentlemen from the West Coast. So we're going to be talking to the guys from the St. Joseph constituency. So those of you in St. Joe listening, or other St. Joe, but St. Joe is in your heart. We have two gentlemen who will be representing not only St. Joseph this evening, but St. Joe, Mero, Layu Park, Bells, Sultan, and all the other Penrice, all the other hamlets in between. We will be touching these areas, and we'll be discussing on issues affecting these areas on this program tonight. So I just want to welcome each and every one of you. As I said, share the live on Facebook. Let me just get on exactly which of the frequencies we are on Q95 Wise FM or Q95 FM radio, which one we are on, so we could get it onto you as well, and that we can share for you. So I just wanted to welcome you here on Q95. Once again, my name is Hector Sparkjohn, and listening to the Workers' Voice. Yes, we have the past chairman of the St. Joseph Constituency Association of the United Workers' Party in the House, and the current president as well in the House. Current chairman, very vocal young man as well, is in the House. So we have two gentlemen that will really represent St. Joseph tonight, the St. Joseph constituency tonight. Good evening to Mrs. Monel Williams, John Baptist, and everybody else from St. Joseph. Gentlemen, let me just first introduce a man who was a cricketer. He's a cricketer by I was told that he was a spinner in a hurry in his days, and he was a police officer, also working St. Kitts. Very well known. He also made a very important contribution towards the fight of electoral reform when, along with Mr. Mervyn John Baptiste and the late Mr. Antoine Defoe, they stood up with the treating and bribery matter that went as far as the CCJ. And when it got back to Dominica, unceremoniously or mysteriously or wickedly or whatever, it was dumped. It was discontinued by the Director of Public Prosecution. So let me welcome to the microphone of Q95 this evening, Mr. Edincourt Senval.
Thank you very much, Honorable John. Still honorable. Once honorable, always honorable. Yeah. Good evening to the listeners of Q95, wherever you are. Good evening to the constituents of the St. Joseph constituency, Miro, St. Joseph, Layu, Bells, Penrice, Layu Park, and Sultan. And good evening to the caretaker, Mrs. Monel William John Baptiste. Good evening to the leader of the United Workers' Party, Dr. Thompson Fontaine. I'm not sure if you are up at this time in South Sudan, but if you are present, good evening to you, sir. So good evening to all those who are listening to Q95 at this time. It is a pleasure to be in studio this evening. But let me tell you, Sparks, ask your brother, Yusfil John, and Tifwe, and the other guys that cannot come to mind right now that I played cricket with, but I was fast like lightning.
Fast like lightning, come and go. Yes, I was I heard somebody told Tifwe today by a funeral about if he still have the speckot. He was one of the he was fine behind the stumps and he could bat as well.
Yeah, after your brother, Tifwe was the best in Salisbury. After your brother.
Alex for Joseph, yes. Yeah. Let me say, T, good night to you. How are we doing, everybody in Salisbury, Kulibistri, Delilah, Morrison Joyce, how are you doing, everybody in Kulibistri? Mr. Winston, how are you doing, sir? Good evening to you and all of you listening to us. Mr. Joseph Hunter, Gifford Paul, good evening to you. And let me introduce the very, very fiery chairman, very committed young man who was away for some time and is back on island and is making his contribution. Just welcome to the studios of Q95, Mr. the chairman of the St. Joseph Constituency Association of the United Workers' Party, Mr. Bernie Ryan. Mr. Ryan.
Yes, Spark, thank you very much. I want to say good evening to the people of Meru, Layu, St. Joseph, and Bells, and Layu Park. I also want to say good evening to my many friends and supporters. I have so many names to mention, so I can't call everybody names. I want to say good evening to my people back in St. Martin. I know you guys are listening, always listen to Workers' Voice. So I want to say good evening to you guys. I also want to say good evening to all our people from St. Joseph that is living overseas. I want to say good evening. And I also want to say good evening to my family in St. Joseph, my mother and my father, and also my father-in-law and my stepson and my girlfriend. I want to say good evening to you all. Spark, you introduced Mr. Senval as a cricketer, and you didn't mention me as a cricketer.
I never know you play cricket. Tell me.
Sparks, I'm the open batsman for the St. Martin Masters Cricket Club in the Leeward Island tournament.
And wicketkeeper also.
Yes, and the wicketkeeper. I am one of the most dangerous open batsmen for the St. Martin Masters Cricket Club.
Oh.
I also the open batsman for the Marysbone Strikers in St. Martin that represent the Dominica team. I also one of the fast bowler in Dominica right now that play for the Christian team here. In the last tournament they had, I had the leading wicket, 14 wicket in five games. But you mentioned Mr. Thing as a cricketer, and you don't mention me as a cricketer.
I didn't know you're a cricketer. I didn't know. I didn't know you're a cricketer myself.
I love my cricket very much. I also.
So we have well accomplished cricketers in the house. I mean, even though we retired, I retired. As I said, today we buried one of my captains. Alexander St. Louis, my teammate, that we played for Dominica in 1988, 89, and 1990 under 19 cricket. So we played in St. Vincent, St. Lucia, and in Dominica. So I was an accomplished leg break bowler, left arm orthodox. I could hold my end, and I played competitive cricket for almost 23 years, 25 years. I played competitive cricket, and then when I went away, I still played some games in New York with the Rockstone Cricket Club. So you have fellas like Ernie Vidal, Balti Watt, and those guys was Jason and the others from Collio. So more or less a Collio team. My brother Yusfield John, and we play in a place in the Bronx they call Van Cortlandt playing field. So we play a lot of cricket there as well. And in Canada, when I visited, I played with the Dominica team as well. So around the place, when you move around, you play a few games here and there. But I played all my cricket with people like in Mahu, with Zoc, who is burying his mother, Desmond Dublin of Belscambu. He was our coach at that time. So I DCP Mahu United, and then I played Salisbury United. I also play a few games with Somerset as well. So
you play for Somerset?
Yeah, I play Somerset. I'm in the latter end there as well.
And seriously, Ryan, I think had it not been for Schwab, Sparks would have gone much further. Schwab keep up. You know who is Schwab?
Yeah. Curtis John Baptiste. So you had in my time you had Curtis John Baptiste Schwab from St. Joseph. You had Roy Marshall, Jovan Etienne, Mervyn Durant. So they had 4 leg break bowlers who play not just for Dominica, but they're playing for Windwards. So I could get in there. All right. So
and Mr. John, before you move, you mentioned about Alexander St. Louis, and I understand lately he was struggling, and it's a pity, you know, as Sibo and them always saying that we don't regard our sportsmen. I wonder if the cricket members of the Cricket Association used to go and visit him. I remember that century he scored in at the Gardens under 19, and I was looking at him and I was saying something here, he's batting all right, but something is wrong. I couldn't pick it up until when Red Swearer saw him. He said that his bat is coming from first slip instead of, you know, playing straight. And that was the problem. But I saw that century he scored at the Gardens, and it's a pity sometimes our sportsmen do just let them languish away after they stop. I think he had an unfortunate accident.
Yes,
and that was it.
Yes, thank you very much. We spoke a little cricket there tonight. I never knew Ryan, so I learned a little thing tonight. I never knew Ryan was a cricketer, but I played a lot of cricket back in the day, and I just want to, you know, and it keep you you build that level of camaraderie and respect. I also played I forgot to mention I played a lot of cricket with Cavaliers, so I played a lot of cricket with the late Roosevelt Shillingford, Tom Lafont, Dan Shillingford, Chico, Irvin, Gifford Walsh, and these guys, Boutte. So I played a lot of cricket with these guys. I was a little boy with them, but and that also grounded me as well. That level of respect you had, they had for you as well. When you're traveling with men or going out there with men who could be your father, and they would ensure that you were well taken care of. My father would send me, when I tell my dad, I'm going to play cricket with Cavaliers, tell me, Ali, like it wasn't a problem, you know, and just take care of yourself, because you know they would take care of me. No matter what time I come back home, can be 11 midnight. Evans John as well, they would ensure that I get back home safely. And Desmond Bertrand, I played with them. Even Fitzroy Shillingford, who passed away as well, that I played with. Mr. Gregory Shillingford played a few games while I was there. And Vincent Teat. I played with some guys who made it already, would gone past their playing days, but also they love the game, and they passed on a lot of that onto you in terms of your commitment, respect for time, punctuality, everything, how you carry yourself. One time I was going to the playing field, and my part of my shirt was out of my pant, and Mr. Shillingford is Irvin said, "Miss Pax, where are you going?" You know. So I played with Elliot Joseph as well. Right, was Pisman, Jonathan Vidal. So we had a very nice team with Cavaliers, and I enjoyed that experience the few years that I played with them. All right.
Well, I never get the opportunity to play cricket for Dominica under 19. because of the school I was attending. I never attend government school.
Okay.
I always in Adventist school.
Oh, okay.
So I never get the opportunity to play.
But
But
you
when
were-
I reach age, when I get of age, and I make the St. Martin Masters cricket team, I play against former Windward Island players, Leeward Island players, and West Indian players.
Right,
And I'm
right.
talking about them very good players for West Indies. And I play against them, and I stand against them in Nevis. I stand against them in St. Croix. I stand against them in St. Thomas. And I put St. Martin many times in a good position.
All right, great stuff, great stuff. All right. So now we are getting back. We talk a little cricket. We add something to sports wrap to show that we have cricketers inside here as well, and we can hold our end. I just want to welcome you again to the Workers' Voice. You can also follow us on Q95 FM radio on Facebook as well. We are live, and this evening we have in studios with us the former chairman of the Constituency Association in St. Joseph, Mr. Edingott Senval, and the current chairman, Mr. Bernie Ryan. Gentlemen, St. Joseph, we're into 2023. I consider myself to be a St. Joseph from the age of 10, and I was always in St. Joseph, and then I went to high school in St. Joseph. And St. Joseph, I represented Salisbury for a long while, and St. Joseph was also part intertwined with Salisbury. Agriculture, the mainstay of the economy right there, and you also have recently you had Mr. Macklin Lewis send out a video to tell us about the roads in the Kawum area, and I wanted to begin with that because growing up in St. Joe, agriculture drove the economy of St. Joseph and the other communities around it, and Dominica by extension. Tell us about St. Joseph right now, Mr. Ryan, coming from you.
Well, Spark, as we talk about the Kawum Road, where Mr. Macklin was complaining about, I had a meeting with the Blue Bloc, and I was explaining to them, and I was saying that, I mean, it is not yesterday or today that we have a problem with that road. That road is a road that always bad. And Spark, you know that because you're from Salisbury. You guys fight for that road. You guys get tear gas to get that road fixed. And now a little rainfall and it goes the bridge. That is not the only time you have to cry, because this is not the first time that bridge gone. That bridge went how much time already? And all they do is send a tractor and just put back stones in it, and then that's it. But the road itself is in a terrible state. The farmers of St. Joseph, they don't have no road to the farm. The road of Ackley, that is terrible. Not even 4-wheel drive can go in that road. When you watch the road in Argol, that self is a no-no. The government gets some tariff and they put it by the bridge in Argol, and they had about 200 bags of cement. Them bags of cement stayed and they get more hard than stone itself. So which means they never do nothing in that road. So the government of Dominica have no interest in the farmers of Dominica. So the St. Joseph farmers have been struggling. So right now we don't even have much farmers in St. Joseph no more, because what happened is now most of the big farmers, and you know the big farmers we had in St. Joseph, they sit back and they give out the property to the Haitian brothers and sisters. So now you have the Haitian planting together. Haitian is not planting no tree crops. Haitian is not planting no long crop. Haitian is only planting fast crop because they are not here to stay. So they only plant fast crop. Right. So I listen to a minister boasting the Haitian farmer, but he need to go around and see what is happening. Because if you have to boast a farmer, you have to boast the Dominican farmers, because we are the one that planting cocoa. We are the one that planting grapefruit, orange, and tangerine. The Haitian and them will not plant those things. Right now, Sparks, you can go St. Joseph and you can ask for cocoa, and there is not one farmer in St. Joseph that have cocoa to sell. And people is struggling for cocoa now in Dominica, right? I myself, I have cocoa plants to plant. So I just have plant cocoa, but I just have my farm. So you don't expect me to have cocoa.
No,
So
5 years, yeah.
right. So now farmers that was there long before, you cannot even get cocoa from them. People going wrong looking for cacao, and you cannot get cacao. This season was citrus season. Not much farmers had grafted oranges. You check. Yes, the grapefruit make, the tangerine make, but the tangerine and them come out small.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something is definitely wrong with our farming in Dominican. St. Joseph is supposed to be a farming place, and there is no interest.
Not supposed to be. St. Joseph was a farming community. I can tell you, when I went to St. Joseph for my first time in the late 70s, early 80s, I remember when you go down to where the gas station is right now.
By Haywood.
Right, by Haywood. You would meet Keto truck, CJ truck, Clyde truck, Lucky truck, Mazden,
John David,
Milton
father,
Wilt, the Amman Tradings,
Prosper.
William and right, Imbe Prosper.
Yes.
You had
Mr. Mac.
Mr. Mac, what's his name? Mac Felix.
Yes.
I knew those trucks. Go and everybody going up load to Kahum. Even thing at a small truck. He just died, Mr. Blaze.
Yes.
John, right.
Yeah, the 1 ton.
Right, you heard the 1 ton. Ron, his son is driving it,
Rollins, yeah.
You know? And you had all these vehicles going up to Kahum and Layu Park from St. Joseph.
Atlee,
Chapara, Krong, Niba, that's call it. But another thing you had is that St. Joseph, in my time growing up as well, you had this Roseau, Portsmouth, Granby City, St. Joe City. So you begin to understand the prominence that St. Joseph had in Dominica. Everybody had from South to do was in St. Joseph. What has happened to St. Joseph?
Well,
after the exit of Doreen Paul?
Well, what happened to us is the government have turned the back on St. Joseph. And the people
how they turn their back and they're winning every time.
But the people know that the government have turned their back on them. They only win because whenever election is coming, they come and give the people handout.
Yeah.
So no, they know that they have to buy the vote. You can imagine a prime minister is coming 2 days before election in a village and giving people money in their hand, and he do it back to back. It's because something is wrong.
Yeah.
You know to yourself, you turn your back against these people. So when election coming, you have to come to buy them. Right now, Spark, well, I'm the chairman for St. Joseph, and I've been doing my groundwork. And I do a lot of groundwork. People that tell me I campaign too early, but there's nothing called too early in campaigning. So I just always meet people, and I was talking to people and ask them what's the problem, what you think of this happening. And I just be speaking to a lot of farmers. What is happening in St. Joseph, especially to the farmers? We the farmers of Dominica, we getting things from the World Bank to for the farmers. When that reach in Dominica, the small farmers, well, I cannot speak for other places, but I can speak for St. Joseph. The small farmers of St. Joseph is not getting them. What is happening is you have the big boys in office, ministers, boycotting and taking all the tools that they send for the farmers. They're taking all them greenhouses that they send for the farmers.
The plants.
All the plants.
I just help you there, right? And let me just stick a pin there because I want Senval to come in a bit as well. But I just want to support you on this one. I said in Parliament because I had the facts. You had planting materials. Look at the president, the Speaker of the House, the minister, no advisor for cottage, got greenhouses and whatnot. You have there were things that came in for honey from the FAO to help honey farmers, and it reached Mondaniel by the Prime Minister. It ended up. That is a fact, you know. So what I'm telling you, what you're saying, Ryan, is that these things are not reaching in the hands of the boni fide farmers.
Nope.
And fisher folks. In 2000, before I bring in Senegal, I just want to make another point. In 2017-18, they had $18 million for fisher folks and farmers. And they took that money and paid the farmers from the West Coast region in St. Joseph because they realized they had an issue. And I was the first person to make a report to the World Bank office on Cox Street. The next day, caused a problem. All the farmers began sending in reports because you can tell me that they are farmers, boni fide farmers, that's supposed to get $3,000 and $10,000. The name will not there, but people do not have I tell you, the Sime Kotwa should be in their house.
Yes.
Got inputs and money before them. I don't want to give support to that. But before you go, Bernie, Senval is there as well, and Senval as well is from the same area. And we speak in agriculture first. We have not moved into other areas. Senval, what is your take on what Bernie is saying in terms of another thing I want to bring into the discussion as well? When they closed down the Layu Park area for the construction of the York Valley Bridge, they said they were giving every farmer $500, and that just died out.
That never happened.
Well, Mr. John, my heart bleeds for the constituency of St. Joseph and Dominica by extension. If you go, when you enter St. Joe, the first community you meet is a place called La Willa Fair or Hell Street. That was where I was born. Many people know about Laco Seklan because it was made popular by the great Arundel Thomas, former education minister. But not many people know about La Willa Fair in St. Joseph. And I tell you, I don't know if it's because we have a community called La Willa Fair that this Roosevelt Skerrit has started a fire on the constituents of St. Joseph. And I am committed with every ounce of energy that is in me to make sure that fire is quenched and eventually extinguished in St. Joseph. I, together with the chairman, Mr. Ryan, and the other people from St. Joseph, we are not going to allow this fire to engulf the constituency of St. Joseph. We say no. And as you all have rightly said, St. Joseph was a vibrant farming community. Let me just go back in time and give you a story. When Patrick John won the by-election in 1985, I think it was, in St. Joseph, yes. I was the sergeant there. When it was approaching 4 o'clock, Clem John, who was the chief election officer, called me, and Mr. Mazilto Edmond, everybody know him as Toto, and Claudius Bellot, everybody know as Yoyot. Yoyot was labor representative. Toto was freedom representative agent. There was no United Workers Party at the time. And he instructed me when it is 5 o'clock to put a last police officer before the last person in line. But everybody must vote. Sparks, by 7 o'clock, there was a long line at the Caleb School up there. There was a long line. The reason why I'm saying that, you know why? Because St. Joseph was a vibrant farming community. The farmers went to do their daily work. They went in their garden first, and by 3-4 o'clock, that's the time they came down to vote. So that is why there was such a long line. That is why I am making that reference in St. Joseph. So St. Joseph was a vibrant farming community, as you say, we did in the farm. No, Gul, Atlee, Chapara, Kahom, just name it. And the people of St. Joseph were independent people. Mr. Edney Prosper, who was originally from Kulibis, was married to my cousin, living La Willa Fair too. Masden Romain was living La Willa Fair. These guys used to buy their vehicle cash, you know. That time Shinningford was the agent of Bedford. They used to buy their vehicle cash. And the people of St. Joseph were independent. Tonight I want to make an appeal to the so-called labor rights in St. Joseph. Those of you who dressing in red, former freedomites, especially those who sat with me what we used to call dung school on the same primary school bench, or the upper school we used to call it Aurora. Now it is the village council office. Those of you who sat with me on those benches going to primary school, are you satisfied with what St. Joseph has become today? Is it all right every election cycle for a prime minister or a representative of the prime minister to come and give you a $500, $1,000 for you to vote for him? If this prime minister was working for the country and the constituents, he would not have to come and pay you for your votes. they would campaign on their record. As a matter of fact, you know the Labour Party did not have a manifesto last election, that sham election they had. They did not have a manifesto. And a manifesto is a party's plans and program as to how they're going to develop the country. And they didn't have a manifesto. It means that they have no plans to develop Dominica. So I'm calling on all you people in St. Joseph. We will leave Dominica on a whole. But particularly the people from the St. Joseph constituency, it is time you all make a 180. Make a 180. The direction you're going, just turn back in the completely opposite direction and let us take St. Joseph back to where it belongs, to its rightful place.
Yes, let me, as we add on the agriculture, Bernie, I just want to make that another very important fact. I worked in the banana industry for 16 years, from early Valentine's Day 1991 to the last day of 2006. So it's around 16 years. And I knew St. Joseph as well had maybe the most boxing plants around it.
Yeah.
Let me show you. Let me just call you. They were using the money at Makushri, government boxing plant. They were using the one at Kahum. They were using
Kahum.
No, I'll call for you.
Right.
I'm talking about of DBMC. Makushri, Kahum, Layupak, Koko. That is 4. Then you had CJ Ferrara had one. Alfonso Whelan had one. Val Sorrento had one in Kahum. Omega Pay had one. Then you go to Layupak as well. You had William Amman Trading. You had Keto Ferrara and maybe Imbert Prosper
and Marsden Romain.
You see the amount of that means that I'm not talking about bananas alone. That's coming. We had in that area in the Layupak and Kahum. Kahum and Layupak used to bring in close to about $10 million every year, collectively, or even if down to about 12 million. Up to about $12 million collectively, about 6 to 6 in both areas from bananas. All that has left St. Joseph. How do we, as you as citizens of St. Joseph, and in the index of 2009 poverty index, St. Joseph community was the parish was the lowest, the poorest parish in Dominica. How do we fix that? How do we change the mindset of the young men and women of St. Joseph who still depend on handout? How do we change St. Joseph where they have close to about 4 soup kitchens on a weekly basis?
But as we go into the program, I will tell you the plans that we have for St. Joseph, the United Workers Party.
Yes, go ahead.
But as we on the farming business,
yes,
you have the fertilizers, where the government, well, I'll not say government because it's not the government owned. It was sent to distribute to the farmers of Dominica
from Morocco.
And you have one person receiving the fertilizer in St. Joseph, one person receiving the fertilizer in Layu, and then they sharing it for people who are not farmers, people who have like a backyard garden in the yard.
Even shopkeepers.
Yes.
And bus drivers.
And bus drivers, they are the one not getting the fertilizer, but the real farmers cannot get a bag of fertilizer. So a farmer now have to go and buy a bag of fertilizer for $100 and something. When you go and buy a bag of fertilizer for hundreds of something dollars, you still have to buy Gramazone and different pesticides. After you do all that, then you have the ministers taking the liquor market that you have to bring your goods to sell. Ministers sitting down in office getting taxpayers' money, dressed in jacket and tie. And because they have the opportunity to take our greenhouse from us, take our tools from us, they have more advantage than us. So they're using that against us people of St. Joseph. How long are we going to stand and watch this thing happen and stay in them saying, I love my party? How long? Farmers in St. Joseph, it hurt my heart to see certain farmers in St. Joseph I saw a farmer in St. Joseph with a shirt mark on him. If labor die, I die. I said, my brother, but you die already. You die already because you're a madman. You standing up in Hillsborough Bridge for almost 3 hours before you can get a ride.
To go Blythe Park.
To go Blythe Park. My brother, before, that could never happen.
You getting right in St. Joseph to go.
Of course. So,
And to add to what Ryan is saying, there's a guy from Layo, I'll call his name. His name is Patrick John Baptist, used to call him Sokora. He is the only certified farmer in Layo. He had to leave his farm because he's not getting help. The guy, as Ryan said, that was distributing the fertilizer is married to Sokora's sister. And not one pound of fertilizer Sokora get. Where is farm? Right now he has to leave his farm. He no longer farms.
Because of politics.
Because of politics.
Yeah.
They perceived he's not supporting Labour Party. So as Alex Boyd said, better red than dead. So if you're not red, you dead. You cannot get anything.
no, Spark. Do you when last you passed to the Layo River Road that the
Repairing.
that is under construction now? When last you passed there?
I'd have months I've passed through there now.
Good.
I know that because they put diversion road to elsewhere, so you can't go up for that road.
Well, I pass in there every day.
Yeah.
And I'm a contractor. You know, I'm a contractor.
Yeah.
You know, you remember the government of Dominica said that the contractor of Dominica cannot build bridges and roads.
Yeah.
No, I have been seeing all the faults that is on the road, and I have been pointing it out for the guys and them who work in there. Now, what they just tell me is they're getting orders from higher head, so that's why they're doing what they have to do.
Right.
Spark, that rain that fall there. I don't know if you see the big rain that fall last.
The shower, serious for about 3 hours non-stop.
Good. The drain that they put, the concrete drain that they put there for water to run, Spark, the road have not finished as yet. It haven't complete. The water forget about that drain, and it dig a deep fit, almost 2 feet deep, in the road itself. The water dig and make its way to the river. I warn those guys about that. I tell them, where you guys put in the culvert, it is wrong. This is not water pocket. Or you don't know our water pocket in Dominica.
Yeah.
I said, my brother, all you need to learn about our water pocket before all you put this culvert. What are you doing there? That road is not going to last. And they see it in the little rain that fall there. The road cut in 2 Ababerof. I don't even know what they call Ababerof.
No.
They just finished break down that cliff there.
Just before, you know where Glovello Toussaint House is?
Yeah.
That's all that buff is. That corner there.
Okay.
Where the shelf in the road.
It cut there in 2. And about 10 feet away from it, there's a culvert. I said, Ghost, all you put in the culvert in the wrong areas.
But not seeing the little trees and valleys and thing to see where the water following it. But what we had before, people in the areas would give you the advice of how the river is coming, flowing, where the river is going, and whatnot. So you put the culverts. That's why our elderlies, our past contractors, they were like they were their own GPS.
Of course.
You know, so but Ryan made a point there about we made a point there about our discussion in terms of the roads in terms of infrastructure. Let us look at St. Joseph in terms of it housing. And we say your contractor St. Val as well from the Layo area. Remember when you was part of the first set of houses in Layo? It was low-cost housing, and the most expensive one was about $92,000. And you see now people have real expensive property right now. It may be worth in millions. And that is what it was about, to develop people, empower them. Now you have a housing development taking place up at Hillsborough Garden. I have one serious issue with it, and is the how you calling it? The sewage problem. How do we solve that sewage? How do they solve that sewage problem?
Well, to my understanding, because I was making my investigation there already, to my understanding, the government gives the people money back. Like you see those that, well, there are some that get houses and they don't have title for it.
Yeah.
So the house is not their own.
Right. State house.
So they cannot do nothing with that house. It's only government that can deal with that house. But there are some who purchase the
first set of houses.
Right.
Yeah.
So they purchase the home. Now I understand the government give them back money. I have a friend of mine that get $25,000 back, and that was towards the sewage. So
Yeah.
she had to build her own sewage.
Yeah.
Because the sewage they built there, it was not proper.
Right.
It was properly done.
Right.
So they had to give back house owners money back to fix that sewage. But now, yes, you build your sewage there, but you have to remember that is Kaye.
Yeah.
That is hard rock.
Yeah.
Now, do you know below this is a cliff?
Yeah.
Good. How deep can you go down there to bypass that cliff? So, which means when you go down with a sewage, you only going down approximately 10 feet down.
Yeah.
With a sewage. Now, 10 feet down is nothing close to that cliff.
Right.
So it's a matter of years for you to see all this shit water will be coming out through that cliff and running down to the main road.
Yeah.
You understand?
But even going up there, the road that is leading up to the antennas, you have raw sewage water is running in that road.
But it must, because it cannot go down because the rock is too hard. So the septic that they build, it is too small.
Yeah.
You check, and they put some plastic septic there. So this is just a fast Viking business to gain points for election. I mean, you in power for 22 years, and this is what you're giving the people of St. Joseph, and telling the people of St. Joseph that you build houses and give them houses.
But another thing as well, some of the precast housing they give there do not even meet the standards. Mr. Senval, some of the precast housing they build up there, Hillsborough Gardens, I think did not meet planning standards in terms of I think it was not properly done, or weak buildings, and they put them up there in the wind, Hillsborough Gardens up there.
It's very windy.
Very windy.
Very windy.
People appreciate the houses, and you must say that, but what about the safety of people?
Spaz, when you have nothing and you get something, you say thank God for what you get, but it doesn't mean that what you get is up to the standard it is supposed to be. City House, the United Workers Party building, the first audience skin when Doreen was there. In compared to the houses, I mean, they look pretty. The house, the Hillsborough housing, they look pretty. That's all, but they cannot compare to the houses that the United Workers Party built. And as you said, some of the people, they have paid off their loan already and they have their certificate of title for the house, so they can expand. They can go to the bank and say, here is my certificate of title. I now want to go into catering because I see an opening for catering, or I want to go into taxi. Well, they have killed the tourist industry. That's also become a was-been industry. So I don't know if you go into taxi, who you go into taxi around. But the point I'm making, you can, if you see something, you want to go into some form of small business, you can use your certificate of title, present it to the bank, and you get a loan. That cannot happen with the Hillsborough Garden. The people haven't got title. As a matter of Roosevelt Skerrit say, all the houses that are built belongs to the government. That is what he said. So I don't know, as Ryan is a builder. So from what I'm getting from Ryan is that what they should have was a central sewage. A huge central sewage, well built, so all the waste, all the thing that will be going through that central sewage, because it cannot sip through the rock, and you're going to have a problem, as you say, driving up to the former DBS transmitter. That's where DBS transmitter used to be. My brother used to work there, and so you will always see the water from the sewage running on the road, and they have a very big problem on their hand. I don't know. Maybe Ryan can give them an advice as to how to fix it.
But do you know that some of them wanted to reinforce the house?
Yeah.
And they get stopped.
Yeah.
By the government, not planning, by the government. Because why? They cannot do no addition to the house. It is not your house. That's why I'm trying to make people to understand. The government put you in a house. The government didn't give you a house. If the government give you a house, you have to have a title for your house.
Yeah.
But the government put you in a house. So you cannot just go and renovate them people's house. It's not yours. So it have two people I know that was trying to dig under the cellar to reinforce it with 8-inch block. And they get stopped by the government. They stop them from doing it.
So
Because it is not
somebody
your
sold
house.
them out.
Yes, it is not yours, so you cannot do it. Now, if you watch the houses that Doreen Paul built in Layu, which under the United Workers Party, I don't know if you ever went and see how good how they build. There are some of them have like 3 stories
Yeah.
where the column already cast.
Yeah.
And all they have to do if they want to extend or make a downstairs is just pour the pavement.
Yeah.
And then you have
And
a
they block,
downstairs.
yeah.
Right. Now, those they build in Hatton Garden, if you want to build anything on that, you have to dig.
Yeah. In Hillsborough Garden.
Yes,
Yeah.
you have to dig.
Yeah.
And when you dig in there, you better be careful because the pillars it on is not that deep because they cannot go that deep because of the rock that is there.
Yeah.
You understand? So now the people of St. Joseph, you have to be wise. Why would you give me a piece of a house and I cannot do nothing towards the house? That means the house is not mine.
Yeah.
You can take me out at any time. So you never have a house.
All right, gentlemen, let me just let people know that you listen to the Workers' Voice. I have in studios with me the chairman of the St. Joseph Constituency Association of the United Workers' Party, Mr. Bernie Ryan, and the former chairman, Mr. Edincourt Seneval. You listen to the Workers' Voice. Tomorrow, we'll be raffling a Mazda Demio in front of the Prevost Cinema Mall from 8 a.m. Tomorrow morning. The car, until the car will be there as well. You see the car. So only $5. Join us for the raffle, and it continues every Friday. We'll be different areas. We'll announce it. But also, if you want to purchase your tickets, you can go to our office on 6 River Street, and the secretary will be more than willing to help you. And also, those of you overseas, if you want to purchase your tickets as well, like you did the last time, you purchase your book, purchase a certain amount of ticket, you can contact the office, and on Miss Onika will be more than willing to assist you. I'll give you her number in a while, so you could call Onika and you can arrange. Call on WhatsApp and you can arrange to purchase your book, purchase some tickets to make a contribution towards fundraising activity of the United Workers' Party. Mazda Demio for only $5 tomorrow. The car will be right in front of the Prevost Cinema Mall, where you can come there and look at it and purchase your tickets. Let me say good evening to my brother in New York, Bronx, New York, and all the guys at Vice Auto Shop listening to Q95 and the Workers' Voice at this time. Yusfield, John, Field, Webster, Boggs, Gandhi, all the guys here listening to us. Marcus, good evening to you and all the others at Vice Auto Shop in Uptown, Bronx, New York. For only $5, remember, we'll be raffling
and Sparks also,
a Mazda Demio.
Also, we're going to have tickets overseas selling very soon. We're going to have agents selling tickets overseas.
Right.
So we will be called. We'll be telling the people from who they can get the ticket. We
Right.
know we have a group. We have a serious group in St. Croix, St. Thomas already that is formed.
Yeah.
They're going to get tickets to sell, and we also have people in St. Martin that are going to get tickets to sell
In New York
also.
as well, across the board.
So, yes, so you can just buy your ticket, and if you win the car, you will get your car. You can give it to your family member in Dominica, or we can ship it to you wherever you be.
Yeah, man, that's it.
Or
So,
you can donate it to the party so you can raffle it again.
all right, Mr. Senbal, thank you. Yes, you listen to the Workers' Voice. We're speaking to people from the St. Joseph constituency. Those of you from St. Joseph, I know Owen Prosper, always listening to us and following the discussion, very important discussion on St. Joseph. And we're going to open the lines 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 305-432-9624, 305-432-9624. Also, you can WhatsApp at 265-4334, 767-265-4334. Also, you can follow us on Q95 Radio FM on Q95 FM Radio on Facebook. Let me say good evening to Mr. Nicholas George, as well as General Secretary, who lost his daughter recently, Kathy Banis, in the States. I just want to reach out and touch Mr. Nicholas George. Commander Nick, good evening to you and your family. Sympathies once again on the sudden passing of your daughter in the US of A. Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Yes, good night, Mr. John.
Good night, sir. How are you doing?
Good. Good night to this man, the guy who calls me to ask the Prime Minister whether he will report to court. I don't know him, but he's Mr. Senval. Mr. Senval, good night.
Pleasant good evening to you.
Right, good evening to the guy who was talking about the cocoa. I really
Mr.
call
Ryan.
to support him. I am from Scottsdale, and I'm going to call on them tonight, and Q95 will not be responsible. Tony Caesar will be responsible. Mr. John.
Yes,
when the
sir.
guy was talking about the cocoa. It makes me feel chilly, man. Because for months, I'm asking a lady I normally buy cocoa sticks from up like 400, 300, 500. And for months, I'm asking the lady up to 1,000 cocoa sticks so I could bring it in the BVI. People asking, and the lady keep on telling me, Dominica haven't got no cocoa. I said, but what happened to Dominica cocoa? Because all Scots are in the hills where we call Nisclas and Wavin Cabe had a lot of cocoa. What happened to the cocoa? And when I heard the guy saying you can find a cocoa in Dominica, I called to say that for months I'm begging Jema in Scottsdale for cocoa sticks. She got custom selling to me, and she just cannot provide none. So I could be able to buy 1,500 from her, and that is very sad. And young man, I know you. I do not know you, but I can hear your zeal. I can feel you. I want to encourage you. Just do what is right, but do not stop. You will be criticized. People might even want to kill you, but stand for your country. Country first. I am selling provision in Totola, and where I'm selling it, if a Totolian come there to sell, I have to give them space. Dominicans have to stand for their country, man. It'll hurt me. Sometime later, I will even read a letter to you all guys, because it is difficult for me to see and hear what is going on in our country, or people just cannot survive, they cannot prosper, whereas other people prospering and they're surviving. Good night. I know other people have to call, but good night. Keep the show going.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Caller from Totola, Mr. Caesar. You always calling. He made some points, raised some points really cocoa, and don't forget that we had the opportunity before. Dominica was doing good in terms of exports, in terms of the different produce. What are you calling again? The cocoa, not copra. Coconut.
Copra, yeah.
Copra.
Yeah. We don't have that anymore.
What did the factory close down?
The factory goes on. What has happened? But after Maria, what replanting program we had in terms of citrus? You had every citrus around Dominica, or citrus was destroyed by citrus greening, tristitia, old age, and also the hurricane. Have you seen replanting scheme in St. Joseph, like people like Keto? Keto was one of the biggest citrus farmers in the Layupak area.
Keto is only planting banana now,
Right.
because Keto have his what you call that, like ripen the bananas,
Right.
Ripinos.
and selling it for the thing. And Keto is selling boxes for the hucksters and thing. But
Keto Clyde.
Keto
Keto is doing it as well.
yes.
Okay, ripening.
And-
But he was doing
and-
some juicing as well.
Yeah, Keto had a farm in Niba that had a lot of oranges and
Right.
different. I think he sold that farm. I don't think he have that farm no more,
Okay.
because I saw a guy building a house there right now.
Okay.
So I think he sold that farm. But that farm don't have oranges like before because of the hurricane mashup. But what I'm saying is we never replant,
Yeah.
because things like oranges would take about 5 to 6 years. But the hurricane, how many years since it passed?
Yeah.
So if we had replant, like the government had subsidized things for us to replant, then we would have citrus in Dominica now, so we would have cocoa now, so in
think
Dominica.
so. Yeah.
But they was never interested.
All right. Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
I say praises, thanks, blessings, and glory to all those who have sacrificed their personal safety and security trying to elevate mankind to humanity. Gentlemen, blessings to you all and your families.
Blessings
Yes,
to you, my
blessings.
brother. How are you doing?
Blessings, family.
Bonnie, my family, blessings, thanks for everything.
Yes, blessing. Thank you.
My son and my cardinal, the consul, how do you chase him out, man? Lambi.
Yeah, no, Lambi went home, man. Lambi, not chased out. We just he's out, tonight.
Okay, blessings, everybody.
Yeah.
When I got information, it is criminal by this administration, and I do not want to be too blunt for the sake of the radio station, but it is criminal for people to treat their citizens like that because you want to remain in power for 2050. And when people talk about the government, there is not a government. There is a gang that rule in Dominica. When people told me, when you see it is windy up there, my partners on them, the house on them are shaking. It's like a prefab. It's not like prefab, not take pieces of concrete and put all of them together. Most of them have no column inside, because that's what I'm understanding. Bonnie, have you gotten any information about that?
Yes, I heard that whenever it windy, the house is shaking.
Yeah, because we were seeing the trailer trucks passing Layu, bringing the different pieces of the houses to just, how they call it? I think it's prefab, they call them spags.
Prefab houses, yeah.
Yeah, prefab housing. So they have a lot of problems up there because Bonnie talk about the sewage system and having to do with the plastic stuff. And man, I hear these people have so much problems out there. Look, I hear in Bonnie talking about these people trying to reinforce, and they tell them, no, they cannot do it. When I listen to that lunatic saying the houses are 100% government owned. You can remember that guy, Spags, what's his name? Monster B?
Joseph Thomas.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Thomas. I heard as soon as the man died, they had ideas that his brother was not supporting the criminal enterprise. He was driven out of the house. They put all his things on the porch, maybe the same day or the following day, to get him out of the house so they can pick and choose who they put in there. Isn't that criminal? The tax money or the resources, whether passport, loan, grant, tax, whatever it is, that's the people's money. These criminals hijack the resources of the state and enslaving the people with their own monies. So that is why I just watching my people. I know I like it holding Dominicans hostage, and they cannot talk, they cannot do nothing, and they're in some kind of threatening and deafening silence, where if they figure out they get a lick of bread, it is better than none. Dominicans better save themselves. And I know there is a lot of education, because the ignorance and in politics and in economics and in everything, people think that these criminals are doing them a favor. And Dominicans need to call these criminals by their names, meaning that's what they are, criminals, because that cannot be a government when all that level of lawlessness is being promoted. When you hear Austria asking for Lennox Linton to be gotten rid of, disappear him, Melissa saying they have gunmen, snipers, Navy SEAL, scary shit, burn people with hot water, framing up Mr. Linton, he and Tony Astafan. That cannot be a government. That is a gang. Let me not go further than that. Gentlemen, I'm there listening. I just had to make a little contribution tonight there.
Thank you, my brother. God bless you. Blessings, my brother. Take care.
Bonnie, I need to talk to you. I think I have your number. I'll keep in touch with you.
All right.
Okay.
Take care. Somebody tell me not to say Sparks. I have to say not Owen Prosper. It's Pointy.
Pointy. Yeah, Pointy. Hey, Pointy, good night. Family, good night.
Yes,
Long time.
Let us big up all the senators of masses that I know, Little Reed and all the others who are out there in the New York area that I bounce up once in a while. He messaged me one of them, Nathaniel Philip, man. What's his name again? Shoo.
That's my boy.
That's Shoo.
That's my
Yes,
boy. That's my boy.
link me up. But you always linking me up. I just want to say good evening to Shoo and his family listening to us at this time. Fimbo Warrington, how are you doing, my brother, up there in the VIs? Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Hello, good night.
Good night, sir.
Yes, let me ask you a question. Who is the caretaker of the Wesley constituency for the United Workers' Party?
The caretaker is Dr. Benjamin.
No, I'm talking about, okay, Dr. Benjamin, but what I'm saying is that before Dr. Benjamin.
Was Mr. Basil.
Okay, well, sometimes on the 15th of December, which, however, I call on this radio station and you was the host. Then I have a problem because we bought ticket for a Carnival sale.
Yes, but yes, sir. That wasn't a United Workers Party activity. What I will do myself, I will make sure that I'll get in contact with me, and let's see how we can deal with that. 265-4334. Okay, sir. All right, and I will check it out. 265-4334. That's my number. Take care. Yes, let me just. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice on the overseas line.
Yeah, good evening, Dominica. Good evening.
Good evening.
Bonnie, don't forget, you used to be a goalkeeper, eh? Don't forget that. Guys, I am so disappointed when I hear all you talking about, Kerry giving money for vote St. Joseph. St. Joseph is not just a constituency of agriculture. St. Joseph was multi. We have doctors, we have pilots. St. Joseph was a place that was just leading. Couple names I did not hear all you mention when all you talk about trucks. People like Venus Alexander. These guys contribute a lot to agriculture and in the construction field in St. Joseph. A matter of fact, Venus Alexander was one of the leading contractors on that project in Layu with Doreen Paul. So when I see how Hendo supposed to be part of that development, Hendo turned his back on St. Joseph. I don't know who else in labor I will do good for St. Joseph. When you talk about agriculture, you have women in agriculture. For instance, you have people like Eli Bayabishi, brand new in St. Joseph. She just died for her son and she doesn't even look back. We have people, all over St. Joseph that have done well in agriculture. Lead Dominica. Send their children to school. We have people like Far. These guys contribute to agriculture. Today, St. Joseph come like zero. The people that's supposed to be helping the people in the community in agriculture, they don't know the history of St. Joseph. But I want to compliment you guys for the job that you all are doing. You all are trying all your best, but I am ashamed of the people of St. Joseph that's taking money. How much money can a politician pay you for your vote? Even they give you $1,000 for the next 5 years, how do you calculate that? $1 a day? And you're wasting your time in life? Not too long I was in St. Joseph. I'm 25 years older now. So believe me, are you wasting all your time in St. Joseph by taking a few dollars and jeopardizing all your future? Or you can tell me Kahom do have good roads. Or you can tell me actually in those places that have helped St. Joseph and Dominica by extension develop. A matter of fact, Eugenia Chat was even investing by putting electricity in this rural area because she sees that's the growth of Dominica. That's why she was saying to Dominica, diversify. Edison James come down is the same policy like Eugenia Chat trying to push agriculture. That Labour Party is not in the benefit of Dominicans. Get that away. Or you're going to grow old and regret. I am saying to you, St. Joseph people, these things this guy's doing, St. Joseph by Baba check. St. Joseph by Baba, a market. You could call a market that can bring money into St. Joseph. I mean, these guys just wasting all the time. Good night, guys. I can't take all the time. Bless you.
All right, thank you very much for your contribution. I hear the passion in your voice. Don't forget, we have in studios with us Mr. Edincourt Senval and Mr. Bernie Ryan from the St. Joseph Constituency Association. And it may be discussed and focused on the entire St. Joseph constituency that goes from Meru right back into Bells. And somebody raised that point about Mr. Venus Alexander and I just want to reach. I know Mr. Alexander's a little boy in St. Joseph next to me by up the Mon and Teacher Pim. So I know they listen up there in Canada.
That's my principle.
I told people I was, even though I was a Catholic, but I was St. Joseph when Teacher Pim. I was 7 days when Teacher Pim was principal of the primary school in St. Joseph, because every student that came from St. Joseph going to ITSS, you could see they were different. They were they came from a culture and upbringing, a leadership that was maybe that was empowering them.
Well disciplined.
Well disciplined, and that was Teacher Pim was at the helm at that time. He was on the big up Teacher Pim one time.
But as you on that, I want to say I remember when going to the Seventh Adventist school, we had to have a passport to enter in school,
Right.
and that passport was a Bible.
Right.
If you don't have a Bible, you're going back home,
Right.
and I respect that.
Yeah.
You understand? Because now I big man, and I know the reason why.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Teacher Pim was also my Sabbath school and primary school teacher. So it means that she had an influence and impact on all three of us.
Yeah. You know, and I'm going to St. Joseph as well, and you had people like her leading in the community. You had that respect for her, and I was living close to her, so that's why I had that level of respect for her. I knew her very well, and her husband and children in the area of the Moon. And these people impacted not just their families, but they impacted the community. And the community has lost a lot of them as well. St. Joseph. But let me just, as we onto education.
Sparks,
Yes.
just all right. Before you move on to education,
Yeah.
something I found out this week, and I would like to bring it to the attention of the entire listenership of Q95, that the yam, somebody from St. Joe, was told me that the yam has a disease, and very soon, if nothing is done about it, the yam will become extinct. Similarly, I live in Warner, and the John's potato, there is a disease that has affected the John's potato in Warner, and that too will become extinct. So I want to bring it to the attention of the people in the agricultural department who listening. Send your field officers to Warner and St. Joseph to find out what is happening to the John's potato and the yam, both the white yam and the yellow yam.
Yeah. And just got a nice message from somebody who's listening to us in Canada. Thanks for the flowers of appreciation for my
Teacher Pim.
parents. We are listening. Somebody sent a note on Teacher Pim and all the others. Yeah. Good evening to you up there in Canada. Yes, I was saying let's move on to education since we talk about Teacher Pim and the influence, because I went to St. Joseph High School in St. Joseph in the 1980s. When this school just started, the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School. It was that time it was called the St. Joseph campus of Dominica Grammar School. And that school meant a lot to us, you know, on the West Coast. Right now, the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School is in need of serious attention in terms not only the infrastructure, but also the administration of the school. And that is a concern that we had, and I want to raise it there with you all, and because we have you from St. Joseph and St. Val from Layu, and I am from Salisbury. And last year we had a situation there with teachers, moving of teachers, you know, the political involvement in the school system, and the school right now was left wanting. And I remember speaking to Mr. Vince Henderson. I also spoke to Dr. Addis King when she was SPA rep as well, and a couple others. I told them, let us have a meeting. Call a meeting last year, June, July, after budget. So I asked them, let's call a meeting. And up to now, because we had a problem with the Miss Kendra Roberts and everything that was going on in that school. And you know, and that has affected the school. No, even before that, what are we going to do? Discipline in the school. Children going to the school like how they want.
Yeah.
Do what they want. Who going with their six-pack? How you have an education institution within a catchment area in a stronghold, a purchased stronghold of the Dominican Labour Party. You have passed several, and most of these PAREPs went to that school. How are we going to help bring back a level of discipline that Teacher Pim and the other teachers at the Isaiah Thomas and the 7 days instilled? How Mr. Ernest Louis and the others at the Caleb Laura School instilling those children, those from Salisbury, Dublin, Corley, Mahu, Layu, who come to that school. How are we going to provide that environment of learning and discipline for the students? How are we going to do that?
May I go first?
Yes.
Before I start, before I say what should be done, most people who listening do not know who Isaiah Thomas was and why this school was named after Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas was the son of the soil from St. Joseph. His wife was Bernadette Thomas from Marigot. He later became a lawyer and a minister of government. When I went to the St. Joseph Primary School, Sparks, everywhere Isaiah Thomas went to teach, the school living certificate trophy. They had a trophy given for the school which get the most passes. Everywhere Isaiah Thomas went, the trophy followed him. So if they transferred him to Salisbury, Salisbury would get the most pass. Everywhere he went, the trophy followed him. So that is how the school was named after Isaiah Thomas. Now you ask, how do we fix that up? First thing we have to do, the Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit must stop micromanaging the ministers. Secondly, he must remove the square pegs he have in the wrong holes. In the wrong, the R-O-U-N-D, not W, wrong hole. Who is the Minister of Education? Anybody know who is the Minister of Education?
The parliamentary representative for Casabros. That is
Teacher Bernie. She's still
Miss Alfred, yes.
Miss Alfred.
Miss
She's
Alfred,
still
yes.
okay. She's a former school teacher, former principal, so I have no problem with that. But we have many square pegs in wrong hole. Asani Knight is a Kasani Laville is an engineer.
Yeah.
But he's not in the Ministry of Public Works or anything like that. So we have to bring back the discipline in the school. Forget about the politics. The problem with teacher Roberts was pure politics because, as I said, somebody perceived she is not supporting the Labour Party, so they have to penalize her.
What that has to do with her ability to ensure and mold the school? She was the glue of the school.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So forget about the politics. It is not all about Labour Party. The vision should be about Dominica, to make sure Dominica become, as our former leader used to say, the best place to work, the best place to live, and the best place to enjoy life. Look, I saw a video today about a lady who is studying somewhere in the United States, and she's having problems because government didn't tell them they're paying half of their tuition for whatever, you know. So forget about the politics. Put Dominica first. Put the people, the young people who are the future of the Dominica. Put them first and forget your selfish attitude of wanting to remain in power until 2050.
Thank you very much. We listen to the Workers' Voice with Mr. Bernie Ryan and Mr. Edin Kotsenval from the St. Joseph constituency here on Q95. It's 9:20, and don't forget tomorrow to join us. We'll be selling tickets for a car raffle. The car raffle will be on July 3rd, 2023. We'll be selling tickets in front of the Prevo Cinema tomorrow from 8 a.m. for only $5. The car will be there as well. So come and give support United Workers Party activity, and also we'll be joining you abroad. Those of you in Campbell listening to us, good evening to you. We're getting messages from Campbell saying they're listening. Those of you in Mont Prospect, and to my good friends down there in Rivier Civic, I always listening. Griffin Nichols and Banjay, good evening to you all. See you all soon. And to my family in Laron, Mapisi, good evening to you. Yes, you're listening to the Workers' Voice. Yes, let me just go back to, let us take this call right now. I'll come to you. Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. Hello, good evening. Are you listening? Yes, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Are you hearing me say, is this Workers' Voice?
Yes, speak up. Yes, go right ahead.
Oh, I hear that kind of feedback. But anyway,
We're having a serious feedback. If you could call us again and see what happens, okay? Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice on the overseas line.
Yes, good evening to you, Star. Good evening to you, Mr. Bonnie Ryan. Good evening to you, Mr. Eric Kotzenberg. And good evening to all the hardworking men and women of Dominica. First of all, I am very happy that St. Joseph have taken a spotlight this evening on the Workers' Program. Although I wish it was under some better circumstances. But you guys been talking about St. Joseph and how it has become part or one of. Hello? Are you there?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Go right ahead.
Yeah, as we know, St. Joseph was one of the most vibrant community in Dominica. I mean, one of the most thriving community. But then in 2000, we saw where one of the biggest mistakes that ever happened was when Convince came and he tricked the people of St. Joseph, promising them prosperity. St. Joseph started to go on a down spiral through Vince Henderson. Vince Henderson destroyed everything in St. Joseph. He destroyed agriculture. He destroyed everything in St. Joseph. Then, 8 years later, the people of St. Joseph decided they had enough of him and his nonsense. They went for Kelvedaro, one of the most laziest paddle reps in Dominica. So that's where St. Joseph started to go down, 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 down. Then for 3 years, they brought in Labor Doctor. I was really hoping that Labor Doctor would have bring back some prosperity to St. Joseph. But because of her stillness, because of she was not like Vince Henderson and like Kelvedaro, them hypocrites from St. Joseph decided that they did not want Labor Doctor no more. Now they brought us Darren Lloyd, a juvenile that don't know if he's going or if he's coming. People, we have to pray to restore, to get back St. Joseph to rightfully belong. Can you imagine in 2023, people have to be selling half-pound salt in St. Joseph? Can you imagine that a restaurant cannot even sell 3 or 4 plates of food per day? Dude, is that real? Are you guys serious? Good evening, gentlemen.
All right, thank you for calling in, Peter. Good to hear from you. Read that from a WhatsApp message before I come to Mr. Ryan. I would like you to ask the people of St. Joseph for me, how many retail shops exist today in St. Joseph? Because in 1997, when I did mobile sales, every 50 feet from Layu village to the end of St. Joseph had a shop. Had a shop on each lane and road in the community. So how many of them, those shops still exist today? That speaks to the level of economic activity that took place back in the day. How can the people now just accept that all this activity is now null and void? And that is what builds St. Joseph and the other community, not only St. Joseph, but we focus on St. Joseph tonight, but everything we have been talking about speaks a lot to different communities. There's some communities like Marigot, Salisbury, and others who tend to be more independent and try to do the best for themselves. And we that's why we zoom in on St. Joseph, because a lot of the different areas, they're similar. Because check the East Coast, the entire Eastern Belt. When I purchase bananas from Daly's right back to Penville, back to Granby, and on the West Coast, Syndicate, Salisbury area, Carwom, I was speaking about Carwom, even up in Goodwill, had Sufi Escorts had bananas. So you had bananas come from everywhere. So everybody was being affected. And when you had the banana dollar was stretching, you could go to a shop in St. Joseph. Let's go in my U shop. Let's go my U shop. And teacher in it. And there's a man I like, man. They used to call him Mr. Zabe. Come on, man. What is he died.
Ogaro?
Siki and them father.
Mr.
Mark Xavier, right?
Oh, Mark Xavier.
Yes, man. He said, come on, man. Right, that gentleman. He used to live in Carwom as well. I was calling him, these people, when they quit in a shop, the shopkeeper no they'll pay on Friday. No matter what they take against the children in any bread shop in St. Joseph.
A back pay. A boss used to come there with one police officer at the front.
Yes.
And giving you your paycheck in your hand.
In your hand. And that was it was. But as we continue the discussion about St. Joseph, and we raised the thing about ITS, I just want to bring it to the discussion. Yes. Parents, you were going to say something, Ryan, about when you talk about ITSs. Go right
well,
there.
No, before I go to that, I just want to say something about the carafe. We now have a second and third place towards the carafe.
We'll come. Yeah, we'll bring it later. We'll bring it in later.
Okay.
Let us go.
But so now, yes. So what I was saying, you say, how are we going to solve the situation that we have in the ITMS.
ITMS was before when the primary school is ITSS now. It was
Yes.
Isaiah Thomas Memorial School. That was the primary school. I remember that section.
Right.
No, ITSS.
No, it's only one way we can fix that. The only way we can fix that is by taking out the Labour Party in power.
Yeah.
Taking out Roosevelt Skerrit as the Prime Minister and taking out them fake ministers that only there holding space in cabinet. And we need people that can work.
27.
Yes.
people.
You have the United Workers Party with a plan for St. Joseph. I mean, St. Joseph is suffering now. And everybody know that the St. Joseph is suffering, right? Now, as the chairman of St. Joseph, I can of the St. Joseph United Workers Party, I can tell you exactly what is happening, what we have in plan. You have the Mero Beach in Mero, right? The Mero Beach is a tourist attraction beach, and it is not well set up under the Labour Party. Anytime the United Workers Party is in control, that's going to be one of the most popular beach in Dominica.
We don't be in control, governing the country.
Yes,
The affairs of
when
the
we
country.
govern the country, it's going to be one of the most popular beach in Dominica. Now we're going to have lifeguards on that beach. We're going to have some nice booths where the tourists can come and buy whatever they feel,
souvenirs and everything.
souvenirs and thing on that beach. Now we're going to investigate who is the owner of the Castaways Hotel. Do you know the Castaways property is one of the ideal places to have a 5-star hotel?
Right there.
We need to investigate who is the owner of that property. And if that person cannot put a 5-star hotel in that area to employ the people of Mero, Layu, St. Joseph, and Bells, then that property have to sold for somebody who can develop that area. Because nobody will come in there and just put anything in that area that is
Prime location.
tourist attractive, and where that could take a 5-star hotel with 10 share, where we're going to have inland tourists to bring in money into the economy of Dominica. So we have to investigate who owns this property and why this property is not yet developed to employ the people of St. Joseph, Layu, Mero, and Bells. So that is one we're going to investigate as United Workers Party.
Yeah.
When we reach in St. Joseph itself, we have to make sure that St. Joseph have a proper marketplace, that the farmers can bring their goods to sell, not blocking the St. Joseph Street. How many years every Saturday the St. Joseph Street have to block to have a market? It is poor. We need to have our own marketplace in St. Joseph where our farmers can bring the produce, whether it's on a weekend or whether it's weekdays, and people know that they can come to the market and buy. We also need to put a fish market in St. Joseph for the fishermen of Layu and St. Joseph and Mero. There's our fisherman because Bells is only farming. You
Yes,
understand?
but
And
only-
we're going to have a fish market there, and we're going to have 2 jetties.
How many fishermen you have in St. Joseph now? Only Lips and Marshall?
I everything live to still fishing.
He's still fishing.
He's still fishing, yeah.
fishing. You know, back in the day, you had. I know you had. Because Winsky used to come sell and sell fish for everybody, and that's one they call no good, right? No good is to sell fish for. But the point I'm making is that you had a lot of fishermen in St. Joseph as well, and now you're not seeing. They have disappeared. Only Lipson that I know in St. Joseph.
But you not if you want to fish in St. Joseph, you know it's Layu you have to go.
Right,
It's only
right.
Layu that have active fishermen. St.
Yeah,
Joseph don't have no active fishermen.
And another thing as well, as you were speaking, how are we going to deal with the TTW fishermen and women? How do we help them market their produce? They have a good product that they get in every time the moon is coming.
That is another thing that
Yeah.
we have to work on. Do you know the Layu Reef, the Layu Beach is one of the best beach in Dominica? You have the largest river in Dominica, which is the Layu River, ending on that beach. And that beach is not developed as a tourist attraction. That is very bad by the government. When you have to look at the Layu Beach, that could be one of the most beautiful beach in Dominica, and it is not developed. Then you have the Layu fishermen have season of holding TTW, and when they catch the TTW,
They have to be on the roadside.
they have to be on the roadside selling that, my brother. A thing like TTW that people around the world would want to taste a TTW, and you don't have market where our fishermen can make a nice livelihood on TTW.
Yeah, where you can be purchasing bulk and try to market it for them and add value to it. you know?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, Senator.
You all have been hearing us this evening, and it is not about doom and gloom. We also have plans for the St. Joseph constituency and Dominica by extension. Let me tell you, the majority of the fishermen in Layo are related to me. The vendors you see selling the fish in Lago, they are related to me. And as you said, sometimes they come to Roseau with their titiri. They didn't get sell for it, and they have to dump it. The United Workers Party, working St. Joseph Constituency Association, working along with the United Workers Party, we're going to make sure we purchase the fish from the fisher folks in bulk. Have it stored somewhere. A fisherman shouldn't have to push his boat, go out there in the sea, whether it's in the channel or along the coast, bring in fish, and then he still has to go to Salisbury and Mao or wherever to sell it. We're going to have a central location when the fishermen come, so they go there. That like how the United Workers Party used to do before. We're going to bring that back. We buy all the fish, we buy the titiri from the fisher folks, and then we are responsible to selling it and making sure the fisher folks get a reasonable price for their fish and the titiri. As Ryan said, titiri is almost everybody loves titiri. Everybody eating titiri, and then the titiri industry itself has been, as I call it, an industry because it comes every month end after about 3 days after last quarter, right? So it hasn't been developed. We want to bring in scientists and to make a research. I know something was done, but we want to go further. So the same way we can go on Discovery Channel and to learn about the salmon and the turtle, knowing that if the turtle hatch in Salisbury Beach, it will come back there to hatch the next year, and all those that will hatch will come back to. So we're going to do a proper research to know where the titiri come from, what is the origin of titiri, and to make sure, as a matter of fact, St. Joseph Layo need a proper fishing complex. Layo haven't got a fishing complex. And just before you move, about the beach, that beach can be converted into the Long Beach in Dominica, from Layo River to Corny in Mero. There are places in overseas where they have those beaches, and they have ways of preventing the sea from coming back and taking the sand. That would be the longest beach in Dominica, from Layo River to Corny in Mero.
All right. Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. Hello. Good evening.
Hello, good night.
Yes. Good night.
Yeah, the Castlewell Hotel, the owner in jail.
Owner is in jail. Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you very much. I heard it moved on to another owner.
No.
Hello.
And that was the first beach hotel, you know.
Yes. Hello. Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. Interesting program tonight.
Good evening. Good evening.
I find my line sounding bad. Hearing it bad? Hello?
Hello. We are hearing you.
But on my other end, it's sounding real bad.
Okay.
I'm listening. Have a good night.
Yes, we're observing that we're having some issues with the line. Good evening. You're listening to the Workers' Voice, 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 305-432-9624. You can WhatsApp us on 265-432-4334. And also you can follow us on Facebook on Q95 FM Radio, Q95 FM. You can leave your comments there as well, ask your questions. We're discussing... you are listening to the United Workers Party's Voice, Workers' Voice, and we're discussing the St. Joseph constituency with Mr. Bernie Ryan and also Mr. Edingcourt. Let me take this call. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, just quickly, gentlemen, look at how these guys are preoccupied with greasing their palms, laughing all the way to the bank. Look at the Roseau sidewalks. Years ago, this guy said they had money from Kuwait, I think, to set up the sidewalks of Roseau. They started doing a little thing, and then the money finished, the money disappeared. Millions of dollars just disappeared. If these guys had any development plans for Dominica, Look at Massac. You know, Spags, who built the bypass Massac? It was Miss Charles and them?
Patrick John and then, yes.
Okay, under Patrick John. These are visionaries. Edison James and them with the road from Warner to Jimmy and Dailies to wherever again. And they wanted to connect Dominica despite of our terrains. Maho and Massac, these are two bottlenecks. Instead of these guys put a halt on people building any serious infrastructural things on the coast, because you know these days sea come in and claim the thing. So you have roads. So if it damage, you repair it. You see in Maho, the development having to do on the west coast. These guys never do nothing. Now they do that little stupid piece of bypass. It is not even being utilized. That is in Massac. Spags. What they build that there for the Spags? What is that? Do you know? We are breaking up. I don't know what happened there. We are breaking up.
Okay, they're going to have a major bypass in Maho.
Yes.
In Massac. Yes, we're going to do a major project inside of Maho, inside of Massac.
In Massac, what I am saying, but look at where they put that basketball thing, they're impeding anything serious that could have happened there.
Right.
And as I said, the Roseau sidewalk, the streets of Roseau, everywhere. I saw tourists took a nasty fall downtown a couple of weeks back. And everything, a young lady get crippled. We know her, playwright. I didn't mention her name. She's from the north and all of that. These guys are doing nothing more than busy, just stealing and corrupting and bribing and manipulating everything. So Dominicans need to come to the conclusion or the realization that we do not have a government. We're dealing with a gang who have hijacked Dominica and holding the people hostage. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your contribution. Yes, where we are right now in Dominica and in St. Joseph is a serious situation, and Ryan and Senval were here with us. We need to do a lot more. I think we're talking too much. I personally, I am the host of the program. It's my part of this program. I will come there and make my contribution. But I think reach a point right now that we speak too much. You know, people from St. Joseph by now should know what is wrong with St. Joseph. People from Layu, people from Meru, and he made mention of the Titiwi. I remember the boats going up the Layu River, you know. Now you have river tubing with
Philip Roll.
The roll. What is
Rocky Rollers.
Rocky Rollers. Who've been employed. So a lot of people from the area getting the if the tourists, if they right now they stop at on their own place. Before this maybe right now go down in Layu. They have a little tourism village there. What is being done there? How is being utilized? I say young lady from Layu having a little umbrellas and thing that is LOD. Right, having like activity, but it needs more than that. It needs a lot more, and that's why create employment, empowering. They're not about empowering young people. And Ryan, you made up on that, and that's why I want to go back to not ITSS. I'll move to sports. St. Joseph was one of the maker for sports on the West Coast. I can call. That's why I know Pointy scoring for Somerset, and you had. Just think of the young men and women that play for Dominica from Bidam and his brother. What is the other one before Bidam? The other Vidal.
Simon, his uncle. Right,
his uncle. All these guys, just think of them. Electric and Linus and Kurt Pierre, Lloyd Bridge, Stanley, Paul, all these. Let's call them names.
Samuel.
Right.
He was playing for Saints.
Right. From St. Joseph, who played. Then you go to football. The Shane Marshalls, the Lipson Marshall, the Tony Marshalls. Just think of them young people from St. Joseph. Check what happened recently. All of them played on that small playing field. What did they do playing field? They cut it. It's waterlogged.
But then that playing field is still the same way.
No.
Take for instance,
right. I'm saying right now they're going to dig it and leave it, or we're forgetting where the water was coming from.
Yes.
And all the water from the main road from ITSS and whatnot. What happened? They're going to play there. You can have it.
But look at what happened to the St. Joseph playing field, because I was pointing it out not too long, and the St. Joseph playing field, they say, belongs to the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
But if it belongs to the Catholic Church and it is a playing field, as government, you're supposed to know exactly what to do.
Right.
If it belongs to the Catholic Church. Now, they have a property up the river that had belongs to late Alvin Ammons Training.
Right.
They bought that property to put a hospital, DC,
Again.
a health center.
Right. Where you have one already.
Where they already have one that they just have to repair.
Yeah.
Now, the one they have, it always empty. If it do have nurses, they must sit down in the room. They never have a doctor, but they're going to build one much bigger.
Yeah. Optics on the highway.
Yes, that's what they say. Now, if you're going to move the health center from where it is now to bring it to up the river, you have the police station where it is for years. You never see it fit to move that police station from there and to extend the playing field in St. Joseph.
Yes, and put the police station elsewhere.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What they did, they put a big piece of concrete road to go to the police station right on the playing field.
Yeah.
A piece of concrete, which means they bring the playing field smaller. Because you remember when we used to play cricket, we used to go across the field and we can still feel across the drain.
Right.
So now they bring the playing field smaller because they put a big concrete road leading to the police station.
And that is dangerous for football with his pegs.
But that's not all. Spark. They had a election, but I don't call it an election. They had a one-party business going on. They bring 3 10-wheeler load of gravel and pour it on the St. Joseph playing field to have a rally for even case it fall. What are you telling the footballers that is running there with the spikes in the foot and they fall in that gravel? Now I saw them have some NEP workers trying to get rake it off with rake, take out the gravel and then rake it out with rake. My brother, are we jokers in Dominica? Is something wrong with us in this country? After all, you take a whole truckload of gravel and pour it on a playing field that the young people playing football, and we don't play cricket there no more because
They got the wicked.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you have people like Shane have got a set of young boys training there, Shane Marshall.
But of course, they receive $20,000 to repair the playing field in St. Joseph. They bring a small excavator on the playing field and undermine the trees by the police station area.
Right.
And they level it up with the excavator. Now they put about 4 lights, four lampposts with lights on it, and that's all they do for the $20,000 they get. Where is the rest of that money that was contributed towards the playing field?
But they destroy the playing field. I played cricket there for years, you know.
You also my point. So these people have no interest, not in farming, not in sports, not in social life, nothing they have interest for. And you know the hurtful part about it, Spark, is when I see businessmen in St. Joseph that own shops, supermarket, on them big business there. They have construction company. Some of them have excavators. Some of them have all kind of equipment. And for them to get someone to employ somebody to work in the business, that person has to be getting paid by NEP. That's a shame on us in St. Joseph. They are not sustainable enough to pay somebody to work for them. They have to be getting paid by NEP. How long are we, the people of St. Joseph, going to watch those things happening? How long?
Another thing, Sparks.
Before you come, let me just take this call. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Workers' Voice on the Overseas line. Good evening to you.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Sparks and the rest of the crew on the Workers' Voice. It's Trucker right here.
10-4.
10-4.
All right.
10-4. My brother, I'm listening to you all. And every time I listen to you all on the callers, it hurts my heart to see where we was once upon a time with the accomplishment with our agriculture and where we at. And if Dominicans don't take a stand right now, we're just going to get worse and worse. And they're going to say I don't want it to reach to that point. They're going to say, see more sav, but it might be too late. I heard one of the guys mention about the yam have a disease and whatever else have a disease. And you know what I always say from long time ago? If these guys don't have no good agenda for Dominica, why would our farmers be taking fertilizer from foreigners? Because the fertilizer, you don't have no way to know if it's tainted. Because first our lime had a disease, our banana had a disease. Now we say about our yam. It's something, it's like you, any one of us. If we eat bad food, what we get? Sick from diabetes, high blood pressure, cervical cancer, prostate cancer, because we're eating bad. So if you put tainted fertilizer in the soil, the food in the soil going to be tainted and the plants also. So we have to take this into consideration. We can make our own compost with the dead shrubs and the dead leaf. Nature don't need those things there. Dominica was always prosperous. Why do we think we need those things there? It hurts me to see how Dominica comes, my brother. It hurts. But you know, there's a God. And they could do what they want. But one day, people, Yoke say, Malio Feyo, all those that do wrong to Dominica, Lamon Fini, Yoke say, Malio Feyo, they forget about the wrong they did to nature, to hurt the people and the country. But let's stand for Dominica, the patriot ones. I'm listening. Have a blessed night, my brothers.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Just want to remind you that you're listening to the Workers' Voice of the people. In studios with me is Mr. Bernie Ryan and Mr. Edin Kotsenval from the St. Joseph constituency. We begin to wind down. It's about 12 to 10, and we are having a discussion about St. Joseph, Layu, Bells, Meru, St. Joseph, Sultan. You have inside the Layu Park, Niba, and everybody living in these areas inside. There's one say good evening, Gingerette. Good evening to you, and let's say good evening to a big farmer who retired from that area, from the Niba area, Miss Amari Brown in Meru.
Oh,
Good
yes.
evening to Mamari. She just passed to 95 and working young and strong.
Yes.
So good evening to Mamari down there in Meru. Yes. Youth. Let's have a discussion quickly about our young people. Our young people. Senval, you were going to say something before we get to the
Yes, before we get to the young people.
Yeah.
I listened to the present representative of the St. Joseph constituency. He was being interviewed before the election and asked him what are his plans for the people. And he said he's going to have book clubs for all over the place. But I want to tell Mr. Lloyd, before you have book club, the people must be able to read. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring back the adult education program. I did it not only before all those who cannot read, so that during the night after their day's work, they have somewhere where they can go to and be educated. They learn how to read. We'll bring people like Sparks who will be able to teach them IT. Mr. Ryan can teach them about construction and so on. So we're going to re-educate the people, and that goes for old and young, the youth, and also the older folks.
All right, Mr. Senval, I just want to give advice to the young man. Yes, adult education, skills training. I think St. Joseph, not St. Joseph alone, the entire country has been affected by that. But before I go into, yes, we're going to the young people. But let me just give an example of some young people that I admire is the young people on the Meru Beach. You know, cleaning and maintaining the Meru Beach during the tourist season. You cannot go to Meru Beach. I never go from Meru and see the beach dirty. Mm-hmm. And the young people have a vital role in playing that. And that's why we want to get people in the young people in our communities more involved. In St. Joseph, as I said earlier on, when we were speaking about Teacher Pim and her influence in St. Joseph, when I went to ITSS, at that time, the campus, St. Joseph campus, you had groups. You had the Scouts. That's where Vince and all the others, Freddie Boy and all the others came from. You had Pathfinders. I had a lot of respect for Pathfinders from the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And that was the they had that leadership, as I said, from Teacher Pim and the others at the Seventh-day. You had the Girl Guides, you had the Scouts, as I said, Brownies. St. Joseph had all these young people. You had the Catholic Youth Movement because I was part of CYM. You're right. So St. Joseph had a cadre of, and you had the Somerset Sports Club. And you had also the St. Joseph United Football Club. So a lot of young men would go for that club. What has happened to St. Joseph? Where are the young people? What are they involved in St. Joseph right now?
And not only that, Sparks, during the time they had the football clubs in the football league in St. Joseph.
Yeah.
St. Joseph had a local league.
Yeah.
You had places like Georgia, Hell Street,
Oshobando.
Oshobando, Harlem.
Yeah.
So from that, they were able to pick a cadre of sportsmen to play, to make the St. Joseph national team. That's why St. Joseph had a formidable national team. And you had, before you play for Somerset, you had different clubs, teams in the village. And as a result, this team would form, they would join Somerset. That's why Somerset produced over 50-something national players.
Right.
Now, as you're talking about the youth, as you know, I served in the police force for 17 years and 5 months. In 1972, I worked in Wesley. In 1985, I worked in Wesley. In 1972, at Londonderry, we had something they call the youth camp. And that is something we're going to bring back. The youth camp, run by a gentleman from a defense force, Major Earl Johnson. And the guys, the young people would go there, and Sparks, they would learn every skill you can think of. They had poultry. They used to supply the hospital with eggs and meat, the hospital and the prison. So it means that government was cutting down costs. They would not have to buy the meat, chicken and sheep and goat from overseas, goat meat from overseas. It would come from the Londonderry youth camp. I met a guy in St. Kitts while I was working there who told me he attended the Londonderry youth camp. I met a guy in Jamaica who was at the Londonderry youth camp. So we're going to bring that back, so that our young men who are wearing their pants in St. Kitts, they say on their bum, below their, posterior, they will have somewhere to go. They will not be idle around the road. Our young women also will have somewhere to go where they can learn a skill, thereby become better citizens of the Commonwealth of Dominica. That is another one of the plans we have for the young people of St. Joseph and Dominica by extension.
And that's where the United Workers' Party role is very important. And that's where, as the caretaker of Salisbury right now, the former PAL rep, that I am very passionate about it. About especially empowering young people. And when you have young people empowered, the ills of society leave them, it minimized. They have more time to go, they spend more time working, they build family. How many young people you see going to buy a piece of land, building a house, and having their own family at a young age? My father told me by the time he's 16, 17, he had to go look for a house to rent, because he had a girlfriend already.
Yeah.
And so that time you're building together as well. You're building a family, you're building a community. So how do we, under United Workers' Party, I know we will do that, but I am asking about St. Joseph. How do we curb that problem in St. Joseph?
Do you know that Creole word, mempoel?
Yeah.
You ever hear that?
Yeah, that
Good.
term, yeah.
You have a prime minister, I don't care about the young people, right? But you also have a president that don't care about the young people. Now, I don't know if you know about that. Do you know every president in Dominica, once you is the president of Dominica, you is a scout commissioner?
Yeah.
You responsible of the Boy Scout in Dominica as long as you is the president.
Right.
Now, the best one we ever had was Sir Signoret.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember when Signoret watched me as a young boy and said to me, it's not the uniform that make you a scout. It's the person in the uniform that is a scout.
Yeah.
I remember when he repeated that word to me when I was investing as a scout.
Yeah.
I was one of the 5 top scouts in St. Joseph. Included Vince Henderson.
Yeah, I know Vince was
Warner Henry, Dean Moyes,
right.
Andrew Dennis.
Right.
Mano, those guys.
Right, yeah.
We was the top scout in St. Joseph, not only in St. Joseph, also in Dominica.
Yeah.
It is only 5 scouts that walk and camp around Dominica in 2 weeks' time. I was part of the group.
Yeah.
Right? So I was a scout. And I remember Vince meeting me when the young girl was
Kenisha.
Vince met me and said to me, boy, you trying to destroy me, boy. You forget we are brothers. So I watched Vince and said him, so that is the only law you remember in the scout law, that a scout is a brother to all scout. So you remember we are brothers. But my brother, a scout is royal. A scout is friendly and considerate. A scout is a brother to all scouts. A scout has respect for himself and others. A top scout always does his best. Think of others before himself and does a good thing every day. That is the only law you remember, is we are brothers. A scout is a brother to all scouts. But you forget the others. A scout has to make good use of his time and position and property. You forget that one. You understand? So I'm saying that these people forget the scout law and they turn their back on the young people, because it's that have us today as disciplined young man. I went in St. Martin in 1989, and I get the opportunity in St. Martin to go the wrong way or the right way. And because of scouting and because of the school that I attend by the principal of Mrs. Alexander, I remember that I have to always walk the right track. And I stayed St. Martin for 30-something years and never involved in anything illegal because of being a scout and attending a very good school, which is Seventh Adventist school. So if we train our young people now under this kind of discipline, we will have a better Dominica. Today, our young people is astray. There is no scout, not even a boys' club you find in St. Joseph. We finish with that. And every day you talk to them about it. Oh, yes, something going to happen. Oh, we went to the president. The president said we have to put something together. The president himself don't even care.
All right. Boy, very good discussion this evening. You listen to Booker's Voice as we wind down. In studios with me, we have Mr. Bernie Ryan and also Mr. Edincott Senval. Remember, tomorrow we'll be raffling, and we'll be selling tickets for the raffle of a Mazda Demio that will be raffled on July 3, 2023. Only $5, and you can join us in front of the Prevost Cinema from 8 a.m. till. And you can also purchase tickets in the office on 6 River Street. And those of you overseas, yes, I will give Miss our secretary's number. So those of you who want to purchase tickets from overseas can join in as well. That is very important. We want your contribution. We want your support. We want you to give support to your car, and you can to the United Workers Party raffle and give support to your party. That's very important to us, and we always welcome and appreciate your support each and every time. And you can reach our secretary in the office, Miss Onika Muro, at 245-202802. There's another number, 2950928. I can maybe, that is the main office number. So you can contact Miss Mulo, and next week I'll come with the other number for sure. I'll try to remember the next number, and you can contact her, and you can buy your purchase your tickets from overseas, like you did the last time when we raffled the Honda HR-V. Sometime last year that went to Laplin, Mr. Eiffel. Let us say good evening to each and every one of you as we wind down. Join us. That number from on it, that's the same number here, but there's another number, 245-2802, but there's another 90928 number that I need to get, 2950928, I think. But I'll verify it next week. Yes, as we wind down on the Workers' Voice, the second edition of the Workers' Voice here for 2023, and we have the St. Joseph constituency. We want to thank them for being here with us. Before we wind down, let me just ask them closing comments. Let me just take this final call. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Hello?
Yes, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Yes, good evening, Stas, and good evening, Ryan, and good evening, Edincott. Yeah, Ryan, I heard you talking about the scout, and I'm happy that you were able to point that out. And, that's one of the highest discipline organization that, exists around the world. So, and one of the things that really have to be implemented when the United Workers Party will be elected back into office is to go on a drive to ensure that every constituency will have a vibrant and buoyant culture. And as respect to the car, you have to put it in the way. I mean, to make the people understand that it's only in Dominica you will get a car for $5. And I think the people buying running into buying a ticket to get a car. It's costing $5. So I'll pass there, Ryan, over the weekend, and of course give you the hype as usual. Thank you for the opportunity, and I think the program was well executed, and Ellen Cotsenval as always starting on the ball. Where St. Joe used to be St. Joe City, and my roots is from St. Joe, and I have first-hand evidence, of the buoyant community that St. Joseph used to be. But we still giving people hope under the United Workers' Party as Thompson Fountain leadership, world-renowned economist. We will be able to rebound that economy in quick time. I just hoping that the people will recognize that and, push that to give us the opportunity to rescue this country in earnest and to make everybody have a better enjoyment of living in Dominica. Thank you for the opportunity and God bless.
Thank you very much. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Workers' Voice as we wind down.
Greetings, my brother.
Greetings, my brother. Greetings.
Yeah, I just want to register my voice tonight. Val and your partner was in it, Bernie?
Bernie Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan, greetings, man. But, Sprags, I must be in solidarity with St. Joe because, as you know, Sprags, you should know, Salisbury people get the independence from St. Joseph, I don't know if you know that. Because Salisbury people used to go to church in St. Joe or school. The police station's still there. So before Salisbury really come out, there had a lot of links in St. Joseph until Salisbury developed. So St. Joe is part of Salisbury. I try to tell a young partner that in New York, Labor Day, and he tell me Salisbury and St. Joe always fighting. But they used to fight for good cause. They want to see who bringing the most four-wheel, who selling the most fig. You understand? Who making the most money? That is where Salisbury and St. Joseph used to have delicate tension, Because if St. Joseph bring one four-wheel, Salisbury want to bring two. If Salisbury bring two, St. Joseph want to bring three. So that's good. But talking about the agriculture, I just want to, I know you passed that topic, but Sprags, the St. Joseph fellas have to realize they need a marijuana industry. Because St. Val is a policeman, he could tell you. St. Joseph are endless professional when it comes to the Sensi.
Ganja planters.
And that is Dominica is missing out big time. There's a lot of money to be made. And I know St. Joseph partner now to plant the marijuana. You understand? We don't want no spliff to smoke. We want tons of, we want to make shipments. And I think St. Joseph should be rallying at least for industry, cannabis industry, so people could make real money. You understand? Another thing he talk about, Ryan talk about them jetty Sprags. Sprags, I go to school by the bay, When I just started to go to school, it was by the bay, the school was, and they moved it up to the village. And Salisbury had a jetty. Salisbury people used to sell banana at that time by the bunches, and they used to bring it by the bay. And they had a jetty there where a boat used to come and take it. All them villages had a jetty, and that is why it's Dominica locks in a lot of ways, All them villages had jetty before. And instead they modified to build docks. Right now, none of these villages have a jetty where people could move, because before the road network was established, people used to move on boat. And I remember your father used to give me them history lessons, Sprags. Your father used to tell me about boatman. And so many people know boatman was Mr. Rossi for Tap River. He died, like this whole rest in peace too. You understand? And they used to take the boat to go Roseau and St. Joseph and stuff like that. But St. John Salisbury have a lot in common. As you know about Cahome, Layu Park, everywhere Sprags. You understand? And the competition always used to be for progress. So St. Joseph, let me give you a short lesson, and that's the last thing I'll say. I had a partner, I used to go Cuba. And I give a partner from St. Joe a ride. And he was telling me under UWP, I think that boss him. And he couldn't stay in St. Joseph because he was owing the government. So he had to move in the hills. Sprags under UWP, he stayed in the hills. and make enough money to pay the government and come down in now in St. Joseph under labor and he cannot make $1. You understand? So the solution is not the ideas and all that. But that's why I don't want to collaborate about ideas. You cannot give this guy's idea, Ryan. You know that the only solution is to get them all. All our concentration, all our plans, all our efforts should be to remove Roosevelt Skerrit and his gang, that criminal gang they are passing for government in Dominica. I don't see Dominica going nowhere. And Senva said you don't talk about doom and gloom. But on that skill, Roosevelt Skerrit is only gloom and doom alone. I think Dominica cannot move.
Okay.
I'm telling you, Sprat.
Okay,
the only solution is to get them out.
For sure, my brother.
That's the only solution. Get them out.
Yeah. All right. We're going to talk some other time.
Yeah,
we have to wind down. Thank you very much. I know Bob Marley will come in his part. I need Bob Marley to call me earlier so you can have enough time to speak, but they're winding up right now. And yeah, some people tell me the mic is sounding funny, but I'm hearing it as well, according to what angle I'm speaking. I think this last one, please be very, very short as we wind down on this Workers' Voice. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. Hello, are you listening to us? No, that person is not listening to us. Yes, Mr. Ryan and Mr. Senva, we had a full 2 hours of discussion on St. Joseph. As we, your closing remarks, just tell us what you'd like to see happen as we wind down, Mr. Senva.
I want to tell the people of St. Joseph and Dominica by extension to keep hope alive. All is not lost. First thing we have to do, as Bob Marley has just said, we have to get rid of the Roosevelt Skerrit administration. If we want progress in Dominica, for Dominica to grow, Skerrit must grow. So we have to keep hope alive. Bring back the United Workers' Party under the vibrant leadership of Dr. Thompson Fontaine, a real economist, a real doctor, not a doctor that buys something somewhere. And the same thing that he has done in Sudan and is still doing in Sudan, in St. Kitts, in some of the African countries. Imagine that war-torn place, Spags, up there where the Taliban just take over there again. Afghanistan, all these places, Dr. Thompson Fontaine worked and helped improve the economy, and he can do the same thing for Dominica with a team of dedicated men and women supporting him. And finally, my advice to Dominican, all those listening to me, I told these people, I told that story on the Wednesday walk. I want to tell you all again. We like to sit and say, pray and pray and pray. I have no problem in prayer. I believe in prayer, and prayer is good. But faith without works is dead. My story is, in Greek mythology, there is a God for everything. So the Greek have a God of strength. So if you want somebody strong to help you, you call on Hercules. Hercules was the God of strength in the Greek mythology. And a guy was pushing his cat, and when he reached a soft place, a dirt road, the cat got stuck, and he said, Hercules, Hercules. And Hercules came up and told him, what can I do for you, my son? He said, Hercules, my cat got stuck. Hercules told him to put your shoulders to the wheel. Dominicans, we have to put our shoulders to the wheel. We cannot just sit down and say and pray and pray and pray and God will help us. We have to help ourselves first. We have to take the bull by the horn. I hope you all get my message. Thank you very much. It was nice being here.
Mr.
Yes, I'm back in closing. I want to call on the farmers of St. Joseph to stand up. Stand up for what is right. As Bob Marley talked about marijuana, you know, St. Joseph, we have a lot of farmers that know how to plant marijuana, and he's right. The Honorable Mr. Lennox Linton went in Parliament and asked talk about legalizing marijuana, and he was laughed after. They laughed after him when he talked about legalizing marijuana. Matter of fact, some of them even asked him if he's mad. a few months after they come talking about they're going to legalize marijuana, and they only legalize 1 ounce of marijuana. 1 ounce, which means they give the young people permission to smoke, not to make money, because you cannot make nothing with on 1 ounce of marijuana. The United Workers' Party will see to it that if we're going to legalize marijuana, we're going to legalize marijuana so that the farmers can make a living out of it, not to be smoking on the side of the road, not an ounce of marijuana to walk on 3 trees. What can you do with 3 trees of marijuana? Just to smoke? No, we're not going to give nobody a license to smoke. We're going to give them license to make money. So I want to tell the farmers of St. Joseph, Layu, Mero, and Bells, when we come together, it is just the beginning. But when we keep together, it is progress. But when we work together, it's success. So in order for us to be successful by moving this government, and for the United Workers' Party to govern this country, we have to work together and take them out. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bernie Ryan and Edincourt Senval, as we had the Workers' Voice here with you. Let's take this last call. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice as we wind on. Yes, listen on the overseas line.
I just want. I heard one of your callers calling on all St. Joseph farmers. No, you should call on all Dominica farmers, not only St. Joseph, all Dominica farmers. We got to rally together. The farmers, the bus drivers, the truckers, everyone rally together to save Dominica before it's too late, people. Leve, Dominic, leve. Have a blessed night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Yes, and I just want to thank you for your intervention. I just want to thank each and every one of you who called and listened to the program this evening. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back with you next week with another Workers' Voice where we educate, inform, and learn from you as well. And that's very important for us as a party as we move forward under the leadership of Dr. Thompson Fountain. I want to thank each and every one of you listening to us for listening tonight. And take care. Have a wonderful weekend. Those of you who are looking for your tickets for the car raffle, join us tomorrow. We'll be selling tickets in front of the Prevost Cinema. Only $5 for a ticket. You can win a Mazda Demio come July 3, 2023. I want to thank you once again for joining us. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe and see you and see you over the weekend. And join us next week for another edition of the Workers' Voice right here on Q95.
Huge legacy of her father, Elvis Presley, was, I think you could say, a constant presence in her life, but she did forge a career for herself. She made music, she blended gospel and pop music and blues and some country as well in her performances. She was married several times, including, perhaps famously, she was married for a period of time to Michael Jackson.
Peter Bowes in Los Angeles on the death of Lisa Marie Presley. When President Biden appeared before journalists at the White House on Thursday, he had a lot of explaining to do.
Classified material next to your Corvette? What were you thinking?
Hey, my Corvette's in a locked garage, okay? So it's not like you're sitting out in the street. People know I take classified documents and classified material seriously. I also said we're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review.
Mr. Biden was being asked about his lawyers finding a second set of classified documents from when he was vice president, this time in his garage at his home in Delaware. The parallels with his predecessor, Donald Trump, are not exact, but still striking. And the top Republican in Washington, Speaker Kevin McCarthy, was quick to strike.
I think Congress has to investigate this. Here's an individual that's been in office for more than 40 years. Here's an individual that sat on 60 Minutes that was so concerned about President Trump's documents locked in behind, and now we find it just as a vice president, keeping it for years out in the open in different locations. I do not think any American believes that justice should not be equal to all.
The Attorney General has appointed a special counsel to investigate. Well, Sarah Smith is our North America editor.
This really is a significant development, the appointment of a special counsel to investigate President Biden's retention of these documents. That's a semi-independent investigating prosecutor, and special counsel are appointed when there is the potential of a conflict of interest between the Justice Department, the Attorney General at the top of the Justice Department, who was, of course, appointed by President Biden. So you bring in somebody from outside to conduct the investigation in the hope that it then looks as though it's not politically motivated in any way. And, of course, we've now got two special counsel, one investigating Donald Trump, in part looking at his handling of classified documents that were found at his Florida residence in Mar-a-Lago, and now we have a second one investigating President Biden and the documents that were found at his residence in Delaware. So these investigations will carry on in parallel, and although the White House insists the two cases are really quite different, both of them are now being treated in the same way by the Justice Department.
So how big a deal is all of this for Mr. Biden? Not just how embarrassing, but what sort of impact might it have on his running for a second term, for instance?
Well, as you say, immediately it is exquisitely embarrassing because President Biden himself had described Donald Trump as totally irresponsible when it was discovered that he had hundreds of classified documents stored at his home. The Biden administration were extremely critical of Donald Trump, and now it turns out that President Biden has done the same thing. Now, he says he didn't know that those documents were there. He doesn't even know what's in them because his lawyers have advised him not to ask, and that there are a very small number of them, and that they were immediately handed over, in contrast with Donald Trump, of course, who first denied that he had the material and then resisted handing them over. But, of course, it could be more than just embarrassing if the special counsel finds that there has been any kind of wrongdoing by President Biden, even if it's not as serious as the way in which Donald Trump handled classified material. And the other problem he's got is that this will drag on for months. Special counsels are not swift or speedy. President Biden, we think, was planning to announce pretty soon, in the next couple of months, that he wanted to run again for president in 2024. But that announcement could now be overshadowed by the fact that there is this ongoing special counsel investigation, and it's the last thing he needed.
In the meantime, what sort of response has there been from Trump supporters?
Well, Donald Trump himself says that given what's happened with President Biden, the investigation into his actions should immediately be dropped. Now, of course, that's not going to happen. The Justice Department want to be seen to be even-handed and continue the investigations into both men, the former president and the sitting president. We may not hear very much about what's going on with that. We know that some witnesses have already been interviewed by the Department of Justice in the Biden case, but we don't know who, and we don't know what they were asked about. We don't know what the classification level of these documents is either. We don't know if they're secret, top secret, or more run-of-the-mill classified documents. So more information will probably leak out about the handling of all of this, but it'll be months before we finally get any kind of determination about whether there really has been any serious wrongdoing.
Sarah Smith in Washington. You're listening to the BBC World Service. Neil has the headlines.
Brazil's new socialist president has accused soldiers and police of helping far-right protesters storm the presidential palace on Sunday. The U.S. Attorney General has appointed a special counsel to review classified material from Joe Biden's time as vice president found in unsecure locations, including Mr. Biden's garage. And a campaign group has alleged that human rights in Britain are slipping badly.
A new study claims the oil and gas giant ExxonMobil successfully forecast the impact of fossil fuels on the climate decades before it publicly acknowledged the risks. The researchers say Exxon's work proved startlingly accurate at predicting how much warming would occur. They've accused the firm of hypocrisy, of making public statements about climate science that contradicted its own data. Here's our climate editor, Justin Rolat.
What this study by researchers at Harvard University and the Potsdam Institute of Climate Change does is mark ExxonMobil's homework. It analysed data in the company's internal documents to see how accurate its forecasts of climate change were from the 1970s all the way to 2003, and it awards top marks. It finds that Exxon correctly rejected the once widespread prediction of a coming ice age, successfully predicted when human-caused global warming would first be detected, and it came up with a reasonable estimate of the carbon budget, how much emissions need to be limited by to keep warming below 2 degrees Celsius. The issue for Exxon is that all the while it was claiming in public that action on climate was not urgent. Professor Naomi Oreskes is a co-author of the new report.
what this paper shows is that their own scientists accurately predicted the climate change that subsequently occurred. So it really underscores the stark hypocrisy of ExxonMobil leadership, who knew that their own scientists were doing this very high quality modeling work and had access to that privileged information while telling the rest of us that climate models were bunk.
Exxon disagrees. It told the BBC it was not guilty of any wrongdoing. The company says the question of how much it knew has come up many times in recent years and insists its answer has always been the same. Those who suggest we knew, it says, are wrong.
Justin Rolat. Here in the UK, it seems the Postal Service, the Royal Mail, is being held to ransom by a notorious hacking group known as Lockbit. A ransom note is understood to claim the company's data has been stolen and encrypted. Many organisations have had such ransom attacks, but the Royal Mail arguably falls under what's deemed critical national infrastructure in Britain. We heard more from our cyber reporter, Joe Tidy.
Well, it's been extremely disruptive. Of course, they are saying that they are unable to send any letters abroad from the UK. So that the advice to customers is simply don't try and take your international mail to your post office because it's not going to get anywhere. Royal Mail aren't giving us this description, but it doesn't take much of a stretch to imagine what it's like inside these depots. There are at least 6 giant depots in airports around the country, which will be processing not only letters and parcels from people to their loved ones around the world, but also companies as well. Lots of businesses will be sending through Royal Mail. And there will be a giant backlog of parcels and letters that simply don't know where they're going because, of course, this is a modern company built on a logistics framework and with logistics IT systems. And without those systems in place, you can't run a company like Royal Mail. And what's happening right now, we imagine, is that they are trying to work out whether or not they can bring the IT systems back online, either with backups that they've kept over the years or by rebuilding the system from scratch.
Okay, so what do we know at this point about what has caused this and who was behind it?
Royal Mail have always said it's a cyber incident, and they're still not saying that it is a cyber attack or even that it's a ransomware attack. But now we know that is the case. I've had that confirmed from a source close to the incident, and also I've seen the ransomware note that is sent by the criminal gang to Royal Mail, and it reads, your data and files are encrypted. And it's demanding that the company follow their link, which they've put on the ransom note, as is standard behavior from these criminals. They follow the link to the darknet portal where they can start negotiations for a ransom. And the situation is either they pay, the Royal Mail pays what I imagine to be tens of millions of dollars, maybe not tens, probably under 10, but high figure, I would say, towards $10 million. Or they go the sort of the high road, if you like, and try and rebuild and do it without paying the criminals. But also the hackers, Lockbit, notorious crew, they are also threatening to release any private data that they may have of Royal Mail as well.
How big a deal is ransomware generally?
Ransomware isn't going away because simply it is just so profitable for these cyber criminals.
Joe Tidy. The Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, is negotiating a new security deal with Papua New Guinea as Canberra looks to counter Chinese influence in the Pacific. Mr. Albanese is on a 2-day visit to his country's nearest neighbour and has become the first foreign leader to address its parliament. Phil Mercer reports from Sydney.
Just a few kilometres of sea separate the two countries.
Australia and Papua New Guinea are the closest of neighbours. We are the greatest of friends.
The Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is negotiating a bilateral security accord, which is expected to be signed by the middle of this year. Both sides insist that China's ambitions in the Pacific are not the driving force. But Australia is alarmed at what it sees as encroachment into its traditional sphere of influence. Last year, Beijing signed a security agreement with Solomon Islands, a close neighbour of Papua New Guinea. However, China failed to persuade other countries to join a broader regional pact. Pat Conroy, Australia's Minister for International Development and the Pacific, says the visit to PNG is addressing key issues.
It's also about joint efforts to combat things like climate change and about strengthening the Pacific regional architecture with a Pacific family first approach to security needs throughout the Pacific. So it's all about strengthening Australia's and PNG's relationship and making it clear that we're the security partner of choice.
While attempting to counter Beijing's ambitions in the region, Canberra also wants to repair fractured ties with China, its biggest trading partner. They've been damaged by various geopolitical disputes, but there are signs the tension is easing. Crucially, both China and Australia are stressing that differences of opinion on certain issues shouldn't be allowed to derail the relationship.
Phil Mercer. Time now for the latest sports news from Andy Barwell.
Thank you. Well, the English Premier League side Chelsea are one of the most successful and best-known teams in club football. But despite their massive outlays in the transfer market by signing some of the sport's big-name players, it's certainly not going right for them at the moment, or for their boss, Graham Potter. Chelsea suffered a 2-1 Premier League defeat away at their West London neighbours Fulham. New loan signing João Felix was shown a straight red card in his first game for the club, and the BBC's Henry Moran saw the match at Craven Cottage.
Chelsea boss Graham Potter cut a lonely figure, having seen his side fail to win for the 8th time in 9 matches. Any defeat would have hurt, but this felt agonising as Fulham beat their neighbours in the league for the first time in 17 years. Carlos Vinicius' first goal for the club dealing the crucial blow. Beyond the defeat, the sending off of new signing João Felix for a rash challenge felt so symptomatic of a side, if not in crisis, then veering perilously close to it. Enormous credit to Fulham, who were outstanding and deserved both the 3 points and the West London bragging rights that came with them.
And that result leaves Chelsea 10th in the table and 10 points off the European Champions League places. Fulham are now Premier League top 6 after that 4th successive league win. In the Coppa Italia, Fiorentina reached the quarter-final stage by beating Sampdoria 1-0. That was also the score as Roma defeated Genoa. Barcelona went through to face Real Madrid in the final of the Spanish Super Cup, that event being played in Saudi Arabia. In the second of the semi-finals, Barcelona defeated Real Betis 4-2 on penalties as the match had ended 2 apiece after extra time. Argentina's World Cup winning skipper Lionel Messi is heading the nominations of the men's shortlist at the 2022 FIFA Best Awards. England Lionesses trio Beth Mead, Leah Williamson and Keira Walsh are on the women's list after winning last year's European Championship. The controversial 25-year deal between the International Tennis Federation and the former footballer Gerard Piqué's Cosmos Group to run the Davis Cup is ending after less than 5 years. Cosmos had promised to plough in $3 billion into the sport, but that proved to be financially unsustainable. And in the Masters snooker event being played at Alexandra Palace in London, the sport's best-known name, the 7-time champion Ronnie O'Sullivan, suffered a quarter-final exit this time. He went down to Mark Williams, Williams taking a last-frame decider. And in the last 4, Williams will take on one of the sport's up-and-coming players, Jack Lisowski.
Andy Barwell. Now,
better to not know which moment may be your last. Every morsel of your entire being alive to the infinite mystery of it all. And who's to say I won't live forever, eh? Discoverer of the fountain of youth. I have no say in it, Gibbs. It's a pirate's life for me. Savvy?
Just a little there of Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. Now comes Depp's first big film after a series of very public defamation court cases involving his ex-wife Amber Heard. Not a Hollywood production, this new movie, but a French drama with heavy Saudi funding. Terry Egan has the story.
The film is a French production, Jeanne du Barry, and Depp plays the 18th century monarch, King Louis XV. Directed by the actress and filmmaker May Wen, who stars as the famous courtesan, it's funded in part by the Red Sea Film Foundation, which has already backed 170 African and Arab movies. It says it wants to strengthen ties between Saudi and French cinema. If it's a big moment for Saudi Arabia, it's arguably an even bigger one for Johnny Depp. He's trying to rehabilitate his reputation after the damaging court cases in which he was accused of abusing his wife, accusations he denied. Critics often say that Saudi Arabia's forays into the wider world of film are an attempt to burnish its international image. But this movie may be an attempt to do the same for Johnny Depp.
Terry Egan. You've been listening to the newsroom from the BBC World Service with Charles Haviland. A brief reminder of the main news. Brazil's new president has accused security forces of helping far-right protesters.
This is the BBC World Service, where we're continuing to explore the evolution of the animal mind.
There's growing scientific evidence that many animals are not only conscious, but possess a profound sense of self. In other words, they're sentient beings.
All of them have very bright and colorful personalities. When I just observe them, sometimes it feels I'm standing in the middle of a class of school children.
Sentience research has tended to focus on whether a particular creature can feel pain, stress, and fear. But so far, there's been little research into their positive feelings.
One area of work we're currently working on is positive handling, or what some people call rat tickling.
In the final part of this series, we're continuing to explore some of the latest scientific research into the minds and inner lives of animals of all sorts.
What Do You Think You Are? Continues Tuesday at 9:30 and 20 GMT.
I'm Manny Jazmi. On this week's World Football, we meet Palestinian refugee Hiba Sadia, who's been selected as one of the assistant referees at this year's Women's World Cup.